Being this is the first meeting of the year, we did not have any executive sessions beforehand. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Blanc? Here. Mr. Gleason?
Here.
Ms. McDowell? Here. Ms. Patton? Here. Mr. Pierre?
Here.
Mr. Reese?
Here.
Mr. Hamilton?
Here. All right, first up tonight, we have a proclamation for a very special young lady who is, as she requested, a cancer warrior. This was requested on behalf of Kerrigan Nelson by Chris Carcella. I'm going to ask her to come up and say a couple words before we read the proclamation.
Good evening. My name is Chris Carcella, and I'm deeply honored to be here today as a friend of an extraordinary young woman whose courage, kindness, and unwavering spirit make this world a better place. Today, we gather to celebrate and honor a true symbol of resilience, compassion, and inspiration. I am speaking, of course, about Kerrigan Nelson, a remarkable 23-year-old girl right here in Portsmouth, whose journey has touched and inspired us all. Kerrigan has been fighting cancer for 6 years, 6 battles against this formidable disease. And through each one, she has demonstrated an unbreakable spirit and a heart full of love for others. Many would have been overwhelmed by even one diagnosis, but Kerrigan has faced every challenge head on, not with despair, but with determination. She has chosen joy, she has chosen hope, she has chosen to sing her way through life, a melody of strength that lifts up everyone around her. What makes Kerrigan so remarkable is not only her perseverance, but her incredible ability to think beyond herself. Despite facing unimaginable trials, she has continuously sought ways to support others who are also on difficult journeys. Kerrigan's compassion, her kindness, and her genuine care for those in need have left a lasting mark on our hearts. She embodies the true meaning of a warrior, not just for herself, but for an entire community of people fighting alongside her. That is why today I am proud to stand before you to propose something truly special, a way to recognize Kerrigan's inspiring life and her dedication to lifting others up. On February 8th, Kerrigan will celebrate her 24th birthday. In her charismatic humility, when I mentioned I would like to propose a day in her honor, she asked that any celebration be about more than her alone. She wanted to create a broader impact, a day that reflects her mission of hope and resilience for everyone battling cancer. And so we are proposing that February 8th be officially recognized as Kerrigan Nelson Day here in Portsmouth, a day that will also be known as Cancer Warrior Day in honor of Kerrigan's wish to shine a light on every brave soul facing this fight. This day will serve as a reminder of the power of perseverance, the importance of compassion, and the enduring strength of community. It will be a day to honor the warriors among us, those who, like Kerrigan, refuse to let cancer define their lives, and those who lend their hands and hearts to offer support, love, and encouragement. Kerrigan, on behalf of this entire community, we are grateful for you. You have taught us all so much about bravery, kindness, and the strength of the human spirit in your 23 years. Your voice, both your literal voice in song and your figurative voice of advocacy, has touched so many lives. We are privileged to stand with you, celebrate you, and carry your message forward. So let us come together on February 8th this year, next year, and every year to honor not only Kerrigan Nelson, but all cancer warriors. Let it be a day of hope, a day of strength, and a day that reminds us to never stop fighting, never stop believing, and never stop supporting one another. And as I step away from this podium, I just ask that everyone please pray for Kerrigan.
Thank you, Chris.
That was wonderful.
Knowing Kerrigan, she would have been here today, but she is currently at Dana-Farber continuing her battle with this evil disease. Proclamation honoring Kerrigan Nelson. The Portsmouth Town Council, on behalf of all of our citizens, takes pride in recognizing extraordinary individuals that embody strength, courage, and community spirit. Kerrigan Nelson, a young and courageous resident of Portsmouth, has shown remarkable bravery, resilience in her 6-year fight against cancer, becoming a symbol of hope and determination to all who know her. Kerrigan's journey and unwavering spirit have inspired our community to unite in love, compassion, and support for her and for all who have been affected by cancer. February 8th, 2025 is Kerrigan's 24th birthday. It marks a special day to honor her and recognize the strength, determination, and courage for all cancer warriors in Portsmouth and beyond. The collective support of family, friends, caregivers, medical professionals, communities is essential in the battle against cancer and uplifting spirits those facing this challenge. The Portsmouth Town Council, in recognition, therefore, proclaims February 8th, 2025, Kerrigan Nelson Day, and also known as Cancer Warrior Day. Let this day serve as a reminder of the strength, hope, and perseverance of all who battle cancer and enduring power of community and compassion. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Portsmouth to be affixed the 13th day of January 2025. I think I can speak for everybody in Portsmouth that we wish Kerrigan nothing but the best, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her. She is a remarkable young woman who just, I wish I had an ounce of her fight. She is phenomenal. And for every other child who has fought this disease and come out on the other side, we are very thankful for that as well. Here tonight to represent Kerrigan are her cousin Sawyer and her boyfriend Aiden.
Brother.
Brother, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I demoted you. Oh. Sorry. Well, I think we're all pretty.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this. Anybody who knows my sister knows that she's one of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet. The fight in her, I can't believe it. She was just over the past 2 weeks, she had taken a trial medication that put her in a really rough place. And, today she met with her oncologist and, they mentioned the different things that she could do. And she's like, bring on the harshest, treatment that you have. She's like, I just want to be here. And it's just unbelievable to see that because, to see as sick as she gets, she wants to keep fighting. She wants to be here. One of the things that you'll always hear Kerrigan say is that she wants more time. And it's not only more time to spend with her family, but it's more time to advocate for other kids who have cancer. That's something that's extremely important to Kerrigan. And that's why, it was so important to her that it wasn't only Kerrigan Day, it was Cancer Warrior Day, because she represents, everybody who's fighting this disease. Lastly, I just want to thank the community because without everybody's support, Kerrigan wouldn't be here today. She wouldn't be where she is. It's truly been remarkable how the community's come together and rallied around my sister. So I just want to thank everybody for that. And, our family really appreciates it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If we just get out.
Thank you again.
Thank you so very much. Thanks, Aiden. Next up, we have our consent agenda.
If this works. Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we'll be sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. We have a peddler's license, mobile food establishment new for McGrath's Provision LLC doing business. AK's Food Truck, 25 Mills Drive, Johnston. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And next we have the annual entertainment license for the Rhode Island Rugby Foundation Beast of the East Tournament at Garden of 70 Sports Complex. This April 12th and 13th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Don't give up on that.
Yeah,
Somebody else.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 7-0.
Motion to adjourn as the Board of
Pass the buck.
License Commissioners.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 7-0.
President, you want to move on?
Yes, do we have a approval of the minutes?
Can I get,
Discussion.
Okay, 1 second, Mr. Reese.
I found some corrections.
Okay.
Before we move through and pass it. Okay. On page, do you want to hear, do I read them all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
On page 4, item D, and I do have copies to give to you, so don't worry, you don't have to write it down. It says, discuss allowing the council as a choice of getting parts of the agenda printed out. And it says, what it says is out by the, it says printed out, and that's all it says. But what it should say is it said getting parts of the agenda printed out up to the entire backup package. That got left out, so that's added in, and that's on, at 19 minutes on the tape, and Keith restates it on the video. So I'd like to have that added. Okay. And then on page 6, this related to the CBD grant. This says, we wanted to get a report, and it says town administrator and any other applicable staff member made by Mr. Reese, and it doesn't, they left out this, that we get an update to be provided to the town council.
Okay.
And that's it,
That's it.
and I will provide those, copies of those afterwards, so that's it, that's easy.
Then do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have tax vouchers of 11325 for 2025 is 013 0113-01 through 2025 0113-02.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have our town administrator's report. Mr. Rayner.
Good evening, Town Council President, Council, ladies and gentlemen. At our last meeting, I reported that in early November, we initiated an investigation into reports of internet outages occurring several times per day throughout the town's IT network. This impacted town hall, police, fire, and the public works departments. The investigation revealed a need to upgrade the town's firewall and cybersecurity equipment and software. Since then, we have replaced our firewall. We've implemented a zero trust network access service, which provides increased security regarding remote access. And we deployed a secure access service, which provides an additional layer of security over devices connected from the outside to our infrastructure. Our network is no longer experiencing recurring internet outages, and the previous concerns about network security are no longer present. Late last month, a section of the sprinkler system in Town Hall failed, leading to water damage in the emergency management office, the council chamber, the entrance hallway, and the tax office. Restoration and remediation efforts started immediately and are still underway. We've replaced baseboard trim, which has been installed in the council chambers and the hallway. We've installed sheetrock, and then skim coating and repainting in the EMA and tax office will be ongoing this week. New baseboard will be installed in the tax office once painting is completed, and installation of new carpeting in the emergency management office and the council chamber is tentatively scheduled for January 23rd and 24th. However, after talking to the contractor today, it looks like cleanup and restoration efforts may extend beyond the scheduled town council meeting on the 27th. To be on the safe side, we reserved this auditorium for the next council meeting on January 27th. With regard to the fiscal year 24 audit, the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 24 was completed and submitted to the State Department of Revenue on December 27th and is available on the Finance Department webpage. Our auditor will be present at the February 10th council meeting to brief the council on the report. Last Tuesday, I participated in a conference call with the Lord Mayor of Portsmouth, England. The Lord Mayor hosts an annual Christmas greeting group video call with sister cities of Portsmouth, England, of which we are one. This year was changed to a New Year's greeting, and we were all provided an opportunity to highlight all our sister cities with our accomplishments in 2024 and the events that we look forward to in 2025. The Governor's State of the State address will be held tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and the Town Council President and I have been asked to attend and represent Portsmouth. With regard to the fiscal year 26 budget, regarding that budget, capital improvement program updates have been received from town departments. Civic support requests were due last Friday, and department budget reviews started today. We expect the governor's proposed budget by the end of the week. The joint town council school committee meeting will be held on January 27th. The school committee will hold their first of 3 budget meetings on February 11th, and then hold their final budget vote on March 11th. And then the town administrator proposed budget will be completed the week of March 24th and submitted to the council on March 28th. Good news, the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management has been awarded $1.8 million to restore Mill Creek in Prudence Island. This is through the National Coastal Resilience Fund. They'll be using box culverts and other nature-based solutions. This fund aims to restore and strengthen the natural infrastructure that protects the coastline. The project will improve the shoreline habitat and help promote prevent and protect critical infrastructure from flooding and storm surge. While RIDEM or DEM is the award, the town of Portsmouth will be the sub-awardee and oversee implementation. Matching funds are required. I'd like to say congratulations to the Deputy Chief of Police, Major Mike Morse. Major Morse graduated from the FBI National Academy last month. The National Academy is a 10-week course held at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and is one of the most prestigious training events in law enforcement. I'll say bravo Zulu to Major Mike Morris, and my Navy colleagues in the audience will understand exactly what that means. It means good job. On December 17th, the planning staff received notice that the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank granted $30,000 from the Municipal Infrastructure Grant Program to Portsmouth for the Elmhurst Park parking lot lighting project. Department of Public Works will work in conjunction with a local electrician to install 4 luminaries this spring. A new playground was installed for children in the Glen Park over the fall, and a ribbon cutting ceremony was held on December 8th. With regard to the building official position, we extended a job offer to a candidate, Mr. John Hoyle, for the building official position, and he has accepted. John has over 35 years of municipal experience, and specifically, he has been a building inspector for 25 years. He is a certified building official by the State of Rhode Island Building Code Commission, and he began his job on Monday, January 6th. In regard to the Community Development Block Grant, a quick update. On December 9th, if you recall, the council unanimously approved the CDBG application to provide funding for the replacement and or upgrading of the heating system at Quaker Manor Estates. At some point after the December 9th town council meeting, the Department of Housing received a couple complaints regarding how the legal advertisements were published in the Portsmouth Times. Additionally, Bob Plain of Church Community Housing Corporation also reached out to the Department of Housing to confirm that this was a mistake. Rachel Kennedy from the Department of Housing reached out to Bob Plain at Church Community and asked if all parties could virtually discuss the matter. A virtual discussion among all the stakeholders took place on Friday, December 20th. Rachel Kennedy and Mike Tondra of the Department of Housing were of the opinion that the application still qualified for submission, but they advocated we simply re-advertise the hearings. They also informed us that the deadline for the CDBG applications was extended from December 31st to late February 2025, which gives the town plenty of time to repeat the process. From everyone's perspective, it made sense to simply re-advertise for complete transparency. The planning board's review of the CDBG application does not require a public hearing, as they review based on consistency with the comp plan, and they have already re-reviewed the application and approved it on January 9th. The first public hearing has been set for Wednesday, January 22nd, and a public advertisement was in the January 9th Portsmouth Times. And the second public hearing will be at the Monday, January 27th Town Council meeting, and the public advertisement for that will be in the January 16th Portsmouth Times. And then lastly, we are receiving numerous calls regarding the short-term rental regulations. So just as a reminder to everybody that this past August, the State Fire Board did release a blanket variance to the Rhode Island Fire Code pertaining to short-term rentals. The variance defines what a short-term rental can be and what the regulations for short-term rentals are. A copy of the variance can be found on the fire department page of the town's website, and we will ensure a link is located at the front page of the town website tomorrow. Short-term rental owners do still need to call the Portsmouth Fire Prevention Office and the Portsmouth Building Office to schedule the required inspections. Otherwise, not much has changed. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Hey, Mr. Ringer, any questions from Mr. Ringer? Okay, moving on to resignations and appointments. We have 3 resignations. We have Mr. Norcross resigning from the Conservation Commission, Mr. Drake resigning from the Harbor Commission, and Ms. Baker resigning from the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Move to accept the resignations.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And we have some appointments. First up, we have for the Conservation Commission, an appointment for Ms. Liz Pedro.
Oh, second.
But you can't second.
What do you?
You can't second.
You can't do anything.
Oh, well, that's
You
what
have
I
to
gotta
recuse
do.
it.
Oh, well,
You can't appoint your wife.
no money involved.
No, but
No, you've given her position.
we have rules.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0 and 1 with 1 abstention. Next up, we have an appointment to the Economic Development Committee for Ms. Cynthia Andriola.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have an appointment to the Harbor Commission for Mr. Timothy Logan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have 2 reappointments to the Bristol Ferry Town Common Committee for Miss Mary Beth Smith and Mr. Lawrence Walsh.
Mr. President, do we have any other conflicts with all the reappointments?
Nope.
Can I make a motion to approve all the reappointments?
Sure. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. On to new business. We have our monthly financial report for the month of November. Where's Kayla? There she is.
Good evening, Mr. President and Honorable Council. As of the end of November, the town was 5 months or 41.6% through fiscal year 2025. Year-to-date general fund revenues were at 45.3% of the total budget. Primary sources were second quarter tax receipts and investment income. Year-to-date general fund expenditures were at 40.9% of the total budget. At this time, we are on track to meet the targeted budget. As Mr. Rayner had said, the FY24 audit has been completed and submitted to the state on December 27th. The financial statements are available on the town's website. We are coordinating with the auditors to present a brief at the upcoming February town council meeting. The FY26 budget is also underway. Departmental budget reviews with finance are scheduled for January 13th through the 17th. That concludes my report.
Any questions? We have a motion to receive and place on file.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Kayla. Next up, we have new business number 1. We have discussion and priorities for our legislative priorities.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I need to recuse myself from this conversation. The appropriate paperwork's already been submitted to the town clerk.
don't go too far. I don't think we're gonna be too
Walking
long. It's too cold for that. I know where you live. All right, so each year we give our wish list of priorities of things that we would like to see the General Assembly do to help out the town of Portsmouth and not further damage the town of Portsmouth. For the council, apparently I was the only one that sent in a request. If there's any other ones that we want to do, please let me know, because we try and get these to the our legislators before the meeting, so that they have some time to review and reflect on them and let us know how they feel about them. So the only one I put in is the same one that I've put in over the past 2 years, 3 years, which reached the reinstatement of general revenue sharing throughout the state of Rhode Island. It's a simple bill, $39 million, 39 cities and towns, all broken out by population. So obviously cities like Providence, we get a little bit more money, and towns like Portsmouth will get a little bit less, but every little bit would go to help reduce our property tax burden. So we have other priorities in there from our town planner, our police, fire chief, our town clerk. Are there any other requests from town councilors that we need to add on here? Any concerns with the list? If not, I will ask the clerk to forward this off to our legislative representatives tomorrow. And then we'll have a hearing. I believe that the agenda says 7 o'clock for here, but I think we had originally scheduled it for 6.
It's gonna be 6 o'clock
Okay.
on the 27th.
So on the 27th, most likely it will be here. We will be having the hearing for the legislative priorities with our legislative staff and the school committee. And then we'll follow that up with our regular council meeting and initial public discussion for the budget. Can I have a motion to forward these to our legislative staff, legislative representatives, excuse me?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0 with one recusal. Now,
I'm gonna text him.
how far did he get? Did he really walk home? Well, we'll get started without him with the town council liaisons, because the first one, well, doesn't affect him as much. 3 years ago, there became a Black Regiment Monument Commission, started at the General Assembly. The liaisons for that are the town council president. So that would be me. So we'll move on from that one. Bristol Ferry Town Common Committee. Primary objective is to advise the council on matters relating to the Bristol Ferry Town Common, which is now a beautiful park. If you like your sunsets, please go down there and check it out. Do I have any requests of anybody who would like to be on the Bristol Ferry Town Common Committee liaison?
I am the current liaison. If nobody takes it, I'll stay on it.
They only meet once a year, right? Twice a year, yeah. All right. So we have Mr. Gleason for that. Conservation Commission, Mr. Reese just came off of that. Would you like to stay on as
Yes, I would like to be
liaison?
the
Okay,
liaison for that.
this is going to be quick and easy. Dog Park Committee, my fellow dog owner, Ms. Patton.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I will.
all right. Economic Development Committee, they have requested that I help them with that, and anybody else who wants to be on it, we can have 2 for that.
I would be interested in it.
Okay, so myself and Ms. McDowell. Mr. Harbor Commission, Mr. Gleason, you stay with that?
I would.
If possible.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Sandra?
I had one. That's okay. Just keep me informed.
Okay.
I trust you guys.
Melville Park Committee. Anyone? Okay, I'll go with the Melville Park Committee, although at some point we probably should think about folding the Melville Park into Parks and Recreation. Chamber of Commerce. I can do that as well, or you want to do that? You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Your essential functions for the, what's that?
Who was that?
We couldn't hear.
For which one?
One.
Newport.
One was the last one.
Chamber.
Carlos. Primary responsibilities for that is a quarterly morning conference call, Zoom meeting. Right. Parks and Recreation,
I would like to stay on that one.
okay, since you just came off of it. Pension Investment Committee,
Interested in that.
So myself and Ms. McDowell. Senior Center,
I'm on that now, if I can stay on.
sure. Mr. Gleason, and one more?
I'll be on it if you need a second.
Okay, great, Ms. Black. Prudence Island Planning Commission. Everybody jump as once. I'll take care of the Prudence Island Planning Commission. School Committee. We have our two former school committee members, okay? You keeping up, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay. Solid Waste and Recycling,
I will take that.
Mr. Reeves,
I also am interested.
Okay. so we can have two, that's fine. And then one that's not on the list that came up last week, and a request from the Portsmouth Housing Authority to have a liaison. You have two?
Yeah, I'd like to say that.
Ms. Patton was a former board member. We have three if you want. Three of you want to go? Okay. Again, liaisons are just to help navigate through the town council. If there's any questions that boards have, there's no voting by the council members. So we have those all squared away. Fantastic. So, looking easy. You, Madam Clerk, you got them all?
You guys
Prudence Island.
Prudence Island,
That would be me.
okay.
with Keith.
Suppose I should have written down which one I'm on, but it's okay.
Got my paper.
The clerk will send us out a list tomorrow to remind everybody. All right. Next up, new business number two, excuse me, 3. It is a public hearing requesting amendments to chapter 326 of solid waste, article 5, curbside collection and transport of residential refuse, recyclables, yard waste, bulky waste, enacted by the town council on November 12th, 2024 pursuant to the ordinance number of 2024-11-12, the repeal article 5 in its entirety. 7, sorry. Bad eyeballs, I should probably put my glasses on. Mr. Gleason.
Mike here.
Yes, sir.
I'll try and keep this brief. Did prepare something. So sit here again tonight to talk again about trash. Well, it's usually about keeping the transfer station open. Tonight, it's about townwide curbside pickup. And so how do we get here? The town, based on directives of various former councils, have solicited bids for curbside pickup 3 times within recent memory, starting with bids in 2017, as well as 2022 and 2024. Previous bids had requirements for things like users to use the pay-as-you-throw bags, same as the transfer station users. But this method, which increases the recycling rate, was not very well received. So we went back out. Now we have a plan with no pay-as-you-throw bags. Transfer station users also felt with the rollout of the pay-as-you-throw bags, they really didn't care for them, but the benefit was we saw less trash and more recycling. Saving the town money, Portsmouth's recycling rate is among the highest in the state, resulting in a profit sharing check from RIREC, while helping to avoid higher tipping fees, which is a price of disposal trash. On November 25, a so-called lame duck town council voted to enact an ordinance making it mandatory for all Portsmouth residents, with a few exceptions, to use a trash hauler designated by the town or to use the transfer station. Up until now, all residents have chosen their contractors for trash disposal. Of the 7 councilors here to vote tonight, only 2 of us were involved with the circumstances leading to the RFP and ultimately the ordinance for curbside pickup. President Hamilton and myself, correct me if I'm wrong, President Hamilton was the only councilor that voted against the ordinance, saying something in effect that should be in the tax base at that point.
Well, yes. I'll just for the record, I voted against it because the ordinance and the RFP did not develop a plan to put trash pickup, curbside pickup back into the tax base.
I voted in the affirmative and felt strongly against the ordinance, but it was the only way to reserve the right to bring this back for a vote at a future meeting, which is why we're here tonight. Legally, to repeal the ordinance required another public hearing, which is why we're here. I sit here gladly to listen to both sides of the argument as to whether the council should repeal the ordinance changes made in November or not. I have other comments to make, but I'd like to hear the public first. However, I would like to say that it is a difficult position for the 5 other councilors that were put in by the prior council. The perceived wrong decision tonight will be criticized along with the perceived right decision. But let us be clear that these folks did not get us into this situation. However, they've now inherited this ordinance and they should have a say in it. So I'm going to stop there. I believe in this particular situation, the less that we say as the council is better because of any kind of legal arguments somebody might make in the future. And I'll stop at that point. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to remind everybody, this is a public hearing specifically towards the ordinance itself. Do any councilors have any opening statements or comments they want to make before we open the floor? No? Okay. There are a bunch of people here, so if you do want to come up and make a comment, if we can keep it just to about 2 minutes each, and then if there's time towards the end, what I don't want to do is be here till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock tonight again. So if you want to come up, please come up, state your name and your address for the clerk for the record. And if you could speak directly into that microphone, I don't know how good that one is. And
Is that directed enough? Yes, okay. My name is Carol Anderhagen. I live at 793 Bristol Ferry Road, Portsmouth. I live on family property that's been owned in the family for 77 years. Quite frankly, I've been looking forward to signing up with a town-wide trash pickup for several reasons. First, I believe that the town can probably negotiate a better price for pickup than I can as an individual. And second, I have been very concerned with the wear and tear, so many different trash pickup trucks going up and down Bristol Ferry Road weekly. As a resident of Portsmouth, I was looking forward to signing up at a lower price than I currently pay for trash pickup. And in addition, I was looking forward to a quieter neighborhood because these trash pickups are quite noisy. I have been told that the objection some residents have to a town-wide contract is a loss of freedom in picking a trash hauler. It is apparent to me that many of us have lost the concept of the common good. What that means is that sometimes we give up a little personal freedom for the betterment of our community. Taking care of our roads by using one hauler is a decision for the common good. We all share the need for decent roads. I hope that the new town council will not rescind this not the word now.
That's okay.
Rescind the
Ordinance.
ordinance. I also hope that here in Portsmouth, we can return to the concept of a common good. We can bring that concept back to our civil discourse. For far too long, I do believe that we have sacrificed the common good on the altar of individual freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't have to duck now, that's okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Alex. I live at 61 Point Road. And we have a 2-yard dumpster there. It's been over 20 years. Never had one neighbor complain about it. And I'm just curious if it goes down to one company picking up the trash, would that be down to one company delivering oil, one company delivering postal service,
So
one construction company? It kind of takes you right away. That's my point. And my grandfather did with that one dumpster.
So if you have a household, this is breaking it down. You have a household or a group of residents that you have a dumpster for, you can continue to use that dumpster.
Okay.
If there is, the slippery slope argument doesn't pertain here because towns don't provide homes with oil. Towns' general responsibilities are trash, roads, fire, police. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. So
But if-
as of now, the dumpster is there.
The ordinance pertains to weekly. The ordinance, stealing yours, Dave.
I think it's you.
It's probably me. There we go. The ordinance pertains strictly to weekly trash pickup, specifically your recycling trash. What it does, I'm gonna break my own rules, but what the RFP does is the weekly trash pickup contracted with MTG provides for weekly trash, weekly recycling, and weekly pickup of yard waste up to 15 bags. There are two options that we have put forth. One is a 96-gallon tote and one is a 65-gallon tote. So if you are part of a condo association, and Brian and/or Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, make sure I don't step on anything. If you're a part of a condo association, if you have a dumpster you can take your trash to, if you are a household or a apartment building of over 5 units, think of Bayview Tower, you do not fall under the residential ordinance.
Okay,
Okay,
That's correct.
but I'm just still curious about, you can say what companies, construction, oil,
no, we can't.
well, you're doing it with the trash.
Trash is accepted as a general responsibility of municipalities.
And the other thing I wanted to say is there's no trash trucks other than when you're proposing enforcement. Point Road is a state road. Is that any different than a town road?
No,
So we basically have no say in the matter.
you would be a citizen. Citizen enforcement as a residential household, you would be part of the ordinance, yes. Mr. Boyd.
Hello. Scott Boyd, 12 Kensington Avenue, West Point. I come to some of these meetings and I'm not sure if we've ever got an answer on this. Maybe now, at this point, all this churn, we might know. Is there any other town or municipality in the state of Rhode Island that has this sort of exclusive use ordinance?
No,
So we would be the first.
because we don't have it already rolled into our taxes. Most, take a city like Newport. They have essentially an exclusive provider because it's in your taxes and most people aren't gonna be silly enough to pay twice.
But if they wanted to, a resident in the city of Newport could contract for a waste service.
If somebody from Harvey lives in Newport and they want the Harvey truck to drive all the way down there and pick it up,
Right.
I doubt Harvey would, but yes.
I hear what you're saying about you're paying for it in your tax base already, so why would you want to pay a second
Right.
time? But if you wanted some sort of waste service that you didn't think you were gonna get with your municipal tax-based waste service, you'd be entitled to do that.
Correct. And one other, just for the, and one other thing I didn't mention, but if you're having work done in your house
Right.
and you need a dumpster, that does not fall into it as well.
Yeah, I didn't think that sort of thing would. Just a point about the first speaker mentioned something about cost savings. It does appear there would be a cost savings if we get the 4,000 or 4,500 households. I'm paying $720 a year for waste management. That's right there at the 2,500 household number. The estimate. If we only had 2,500 homes, it'd be the same price as I'm paying for now. So it looks like the economies of scale, the bargaining power, it's pretty substantial buy-in rate before we get there. Right. Just a.
That's part of the reason for the ordinance. It helps with
Sure,
that.
no, if we could
Great.
hit that big number, there's a substantial cost savings, right? It's 460 versus 720 for me personally now, today. But I'm not in favor of it, just if you're looking for opinions, I'd rescind the ordinance, that's what I would do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. DiViola. Paola, 1074 East Main Road. You mentioned single family houses. What happens if it's a rental property? Who would be
Like
fined?
the fines are towards the companies providing the service, not to the residential home. So if with this, in this case, if MTG is a company that we're RFP'd with, if Waste Management was around picking up trash, they would be fined. Part of the change in the ordinance back in November was to strip out the part that made it the responsibility of the resident.
Thank you.
And make sure you guys throw something at me if I'm saying something off. All right.
Good evening. My name is Beth Jordan. I'm 47 Garden Street. I've been a homeowner in Portsmouth for 15 years, over 15 years now. I use curbside, and I have since I've moved here because it's convenient for me being a commuter. And it doesn't work for me, the
Transfer station.
one of the things is I have used the people that you are trying to use now, and they're horrible. I'll just tell you that right off the bat. They skip days. I used them probably for a year, and one of the things is you come home, your trash is there for days at a time, and then you're calling them. Their billing process was terrible. Everything about them was lousy until I went ahead and I canceled my service. I'm not looking forward to going back to that. I started out with Patriot. I went to them. Patriot sold out to them. I went to Waste Management. I'm pleased with them. I've had no issues with them. Waste Management has worked with, they work with you as far as your age, you're a little older, you can bargain with them. There's a lot of benefits to that. I'm not really looking forward to moving to this. Again, you can take your large items from them. That's pretty much all I have to say as a citizen of the town.
Thank you. And people I've talked to who have had MEGA or MTG or whatever you guys want to go by these days, in the past, it's a different situation when it's you as a personal individual dealing with the company. There are performance metrics listed in the RFP. It's different when you're holding back your $40 a month or you don't pay them $40 a month. It's a much different situation if we hold back $400,000. You won't be sending your check to MEGA. You'll be sending your check to the town of Portsmouth, and we'll be writing the checks to them. So it gives a much bigger, lack of a better term, bully pulpit to hold their feet to the fire to make sure they're doing their job. And it's not your job to pick up the phone and rattle their cage. That's our job as the town. So you call and make a complaint to the town. We call and rattle their cage. Yes, sir.
Right, Matt Yates, 433 Windstone Drive. I'm curious, I'm against the ordinance personally for any number of reasons, but I'm curious should the council decide to move forward, what would be should the council decide to cancel or rescind the ordinance? What would be the cost to exit that contract, and what are our liabilities as a town for lawsuits from the contractor?
It's undetermined. I mean, it's America. You can sue for just about anything, right?
Right. Well, what I read online is that they've already prepared a suit against the town because they've incurred costs.
They've sent a warning letter.
Yeah.
I don't know how far they've prepared anything. That's up to them.
Fair enough. So if the ordinance is rescinded and we are sued as a town and lose, who's paying for that?
Residents of Portsmouth.
So we would pay for that as well as keeping our existing trash.
Correct.
Great. I am not in favor of that. I do not want this ordinance in any way, shape, or form, but I refuse to pay twice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Ellen Martin, 21 Massachusetts.
Just get a little closer. Yeah.
Just tilt it down a little bit.
I'm short. Mary Ellen Martin, 21 Massachusetts Boulevard. Is there a current contract signed with MEGA?
No.
There is no current contract signed with MEGA.
There is an implied contract due to the acceptance of the RFP and the current signing of the ordinance.
So
approval of the ordinance.
it's my understanding,
It's laid out in the demand
you're
letter.
still in the negotiation phase of the process.
We're not in the negotiation phase. Everything was done until this decision to potentially rescind the ordinance, which would muddy the waters of the RFP. So that's why the contract hasn't been signed.
You don't have a signed contract. How could you not be in the negotiation phase? You're still negotiating and working things out. So in order to get a signed contract, you need this ordinance to go through. You need this ordinance to stay, not.
Yes.
Von Thurston, 664 Union Street. Been here for 150 years. I'm a proponent of the transfer station, but having been here for every meeting, it was quite disruptive in November. I ask that you please repeal Article 7. And let's have cooler heads prevail as we go forward. I understand individual trash pickup, but and you're negotiating, you have the bigger purse strings as opposed to an individual. I'd like to remind you what's on the side of the street as you're negotiating it. They don't come, like Middletown, let's just talk about, they leave the trash there for days while they're trying to tell them to come and pick up the trash. They miss it for a day, they miss it for a week. We need to do better. Please repeal.
Davis, 362 West Main Road, right here in Portsmouth. This is not my first rodeo. I lived in California where the flames are burning right now for 40 years, so I'm happy to be here. First of all, I want to start out with a compliment. The people that are running the transfer station right now are doing a wonderful, wonderful service. You know, I noticed there's a few other senior citizens here, probably a few widows, probably a few people that have a walking stick. Those guys are going in there and without even asking, you pull in there, they're asking if you need help, they're unloading. So let's take care of that part. Second part is, and I know a lot of other people live on main drags, as they call it, California, in Portsmouth. Can you imagine me if I had to use one of those carriers with the wheels and it's 6 inches on the snow, dragging that about 100 feet from my house? But then you got the second part. Here's the big one for me. I've been involved in safety for over 60 years, both in the military as well as in Xerox Corporation. You got those doggone trash cans sitting out there. First of all, you got critters that want to get in them. Secondly, once they're empty, the wind can fly them all over. We've got enough problems on our main roads, especially East Main Road and West Main Road and Middle Road along out. So can you imagine if we shut down that center and we all had to go to those parts? We'd have some major traffic accidents. So we need to keep them open. And then the other thing is, I learned a long time ago, once the bell's rung, you can't unring it. Where would we take the major things such as our mattresses and big items if that center is closed down? And I'll grant you, if it's closed down, it will never be reopened. Thank you.
Just for the record, this is nothing to do with the transfer station. The transfer station has a contract that runs through the 30th of 27, correct? June 30th, 2027. For residents who have special needs or need help getting their trash from a long driveway, if they're a senior citizen, if they're handicapped, there are provisions in the contract specifically for MEGA to go and get that trash from your house, that you don't have to wheel it out to the end.
Chris Carseller, 63 Leach Road. I want to reiterate, we are going to be the only town with an exclusive contract that is not paid for by taxes in the state. If you look at Middletown, they don't mandate it, and that's because they got such a great rate that they knew everybody would go with it. I've spoken to Middletown. So it's optional to go with the great rate. I've been adamant that I don't I'm not interested in being mandated to use a particular curbside hauler for my residents that I have to pay for myself. I've had curbside for 25 years, and I even paid for them when the transfer station was free, included in our taxes. I know that Mr. Rayner and our previous town council thought if we didn't mandate it, that other trash companies would come in and steal customers away with lowering prices. Well, isn't that what we want for our residents, lower rates? As it is, I only pay $420 a year for waste management. I call every year, I'm a pain, I get a really great rate. They do give rates for older people, they do give good rates for military. Our town's gonna have one price. Instead, our town signed an exclusive contract before they even had the right to do so, before signing that ordinance back in November. And that ordinance was signed during the very last town council meeting of the previous town council members. We had asked to have it wait till now, but they waited till that night, which was after the vote. And it still baffles me why our town wants to get into the trash business, considering there are new budget line items for a waste and diversion manager, and also an extra vehicle for smaller roads, which I don't think I understand. It looks like we're budgeting around $190,000 a year for these items, according to the projected sticker calculation sheet I got. That's $190,000 a year. We're taking on services that a waste hauler typically takes on. If I have an issue with waste management, I call waste management. Now we'll be calling our town for any issues. When I pay my bills, I pay the company, Waste Management, to take care of that. Now our town will be taking care of that. And that's probably why we need a new manager for a new position. It seems that I'll be paying more for less services than I get now with my current hauler. I know that everyone calls yearly to keep their bills down, but I do, and that has always been my choice to do so. With an exclusive contract, I will no longer have the ability to shop around for better pricing. And I think we need less government control, not more, when it comes to this. And it's concerning that we still don't know how many people will be signing up for this. We have a projection. But I think over this past year, I keep asking, we should have had some type of, I know you said there was a survey in the past, but it had nothing to do with particular things about curbside pickup. Have we asked every resident who would be signing up? So we have a projected pricing. It could be anywhere from $450 to $700. I mean, that's a big difference for people to try to sign up for. You know, Middletown just went with it, thinking 80% of the people would do it. I just wish we would have not mandated that. And if there's any way to rescind the mandate and figure out something to get a great price from a company without mandating it, I'd love that, but it's up to you guys.
Mr. Roberts.
Pete Roberts, 80 Almond Avenue. I want to point out something with the trucks that come by and pick up the trash. They pick up one container, they dump it in the opening on the truck. Let's say that's the trash. They pick up the next one that's recycling, they dump it in the same hole.
Yes.
So any trash that breaks is in there and it gets all over the recycling.
No.
Yes, it does. I watched it.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
There are new trucks that inside of the truck, before that second bin goes up, it slides over and pushes it.
Still, trash goes all over the place. I've looked in it.
Okay.
Have you looked in it?
Yes.
Well, I have several times, and there's trash all over the walls, and it gets all over the recycling. You go to the transfer station, recycling's over here, the trash is over there. Recycling never gets contaminated. With this stuff, it does, okay? And I like taking my own trash. My wife does it, my daughters do it.
You still can.
And I don't want somebody to tell me I can't do that.
You still can take your own trash to the transfer station. This ordinance has nothing to do with.
But
the
I never
transfer station.
want it, I want to know that it's never going to stop the transfer station.
The transfer station is its own beast. And it will close when it closes. It depends on how many people keep using it. At
But
some
you're gonna
point,
force everybody to have the same one.
no, the same transfer station,
No, the same,
Curbside.
curbside,
curbside. I don't think you have a right to do that.
federal law says, settled case law says that
Yeah, but this is gonna be the only one?
the only one in Rhode Island. There are other ones in New England, yes.
Yeah, and, you know, I lived down in Virginia for a while. Down there, there's hardly no curbside. Everything goes to the stations, and you can go there all night long. There's no limits. So you come home, you can go take it. That's what we need to work on, get more people for that.
And unfortunately, Virginia has a lot more area to dump our trash. We are running very, very tight I think the last recommendation
What's the
was
difference in that?
our dump, Johnston landfill, is scheduled to close somewhere around 2034, 2035.
Where does curbside take it?
That's the landfill.
It all does. No recycling.
So
There is
you're all going to the
recycling.
same place. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Absolutely it does, but not in your world. But
No, it doesn't.
we don't have the space that Virginia does to take it and dump it anywhere we want at
We
any
can have
time.
anything we want if they make sure it's there.
Okay. There's not enough space left at the dump, and we don't have a future plan as to where.
Curbside, they take it there?
Massachusetts. Whether or not we have a curbside ordinance, everybody's trash in this room is going there. Whether it's a
What's the
mandated
difference?
noise,
But it's,
because it's less expensive for the majority of the individuals who have
I'm
curbside
sorry, it
pickup.
doesn't make any sense
Okay.
at all.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Yes, sir.
Scott Sanchez, 57 Hicks Lane. I have waste management, for choosing our own. I believe in having that ability to price shop and have what you want. My question is the contract, you said the contract was signed, is that correct?
Contract has not been signed. The RFP implies a contract.
Okay, so if you were to back out of it, there's a penalty fee of around 6 million, is that true?
And get sued. The town, they can sue us
They can sue you.
for the entire amount of the contract.
Carlos?
Okay,
Yeah, you
Look at that.
microphone, Carlson. They could potentially sue us for the entire amount of the contract.
okay. And now, I believe the cost of, if they had enough people signing up, was around what, 488 per year?
458,
458. Now, is that for the 96 total or the 64 total?
96.
96. And now is that price locked in for 5 years?
It has a 3%, no, a roughly 3% escalator each year. It's based on the CPI of trash, which don't ask me how they get a CPI of trash, but
Right.
there is one that's out there and it's averaged about 3% a year over the past 10 years or so.
Okay. And like I said, I've heard, my neighbor did have MPG before and he said he had nothing problems. I've only been here for 3 years and I've had waste management. 0 issues. Anytime there's a holiday, they send me a text and an email, let me know that I'm not gonna be there that day, and I've never had one issue. I missed one day, called them, they came the next day and picked it up. So that great service. I haven't heard the same thing about MTG.
MTG is here, so they're listening to all these complaints
Good.
and writing them down, I believe.
Good.
So,
That's it.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I wanted to make a comment, Chris, the reason for the smaller truck is for the small roads that we have in certain private areas, like a Musselville Shoals and things like that, areas that they can't get down with big trucks.
What do you do now?
What do they do now? I don't know what they do now. Most of those people use their pickup truck and take it to the dump. That's the reason for the smaller truck. Mr. Piero. Oh, wow. Fiorillo. I'm gonna get your name right one of these days.
David Fiorillo, 45 Hamilton Drive. First of all, I just want to state that I do use private pickup. I do use waste management very happily. I also want to say, I don't care who takes my trash. I never knew that there were so many people that were passionate about trash. But whatever, here we are today. I just want to point some things out. From a letter from Mr. Rayner on October 11, 2022, there was a unanimous decision by the previous council to adapt a hybrid RFP, keeping the transfer station open and then going with a single trash hauler. May 22nd, 2023, to pursue the single hauler, it was voted 4-2-1, okay? In February, after the RFP went out, February 27, 2024, addendum number 3, question 2. And I won't read it because it was in the agenda today. But it basically says MTG came back and asked that if there will be a single hauler, and the response from the town says that the residents will have 2 options: using the transfer station and using town curbside collection program. The town will adopt an ordinance for a single hauler for curbside collection for the residents that fall under this RFP. That was on February 27th of 2024. And May 13th, 2024, a unanimous decision by the council was to award MTG this contract. So everybody in the previous council and the 2 current members knew that this was an ordinance that was going to happen, and it was voted on unanimously. So here we are tonight trying to rescind the vote which came on December 9th. I'm just kind of shocked that we're going backwards, and also fully knowing that the town is on the hook if we rescind this RFP. An RFP, and it was stated very clearly in the RFP that in lieu of a signed contract, that the RFP stands as a binding contract. So here we are today on the precipice of rescinding this RFP, fully knowing that there has been a letter from the lawyer from MGP that says they have already committed $1.4 million to this contract. So the town could be on the hook for $1.4 million. They also clearly state that the town could be on the hook for a violation of municipality for damages resulting from the breach of this contract. If I'm correct, I thought I read that this total contract was about $6 million, correct?
For the 5 years. Yeah.
For the 5 years.
Approximately.
So I'm a business owner. If I knew I was gonna have $6 million of profit coming my way and it was gonna get taken out from underneath me.
Well, it wouldn't be $6 million of profits, that'd be $6 million of revenue.
It was a contract worth $6 million. I would absolutely go after it. So I don't care who picks up my trash, and I get that some people are very passionate, they want choice. I don't want this town to be sued, because if we're on the hook for $1.4 million or 2 or 3, whatever it is that they may sue us for, where are we getting that money from? Has anybody considered that? Where is that going to come out of the budget?
The last time we had a large lawsuit, there was a bond that was loaded to cover
which
that.
means our taxes go up. Correct. So if we repeal this, all of our taxes are going to go up because they will sue. And I don't want that to happen. I'm sure nobody wants to also have their taxes go up and also having to pay for trash. If this does go through, it is a savings for me. I do call Waste Management every year on Chris's advice. I don't get her rate, so I don't know who you're talking to. I just got a reduced rate from almost $800 a year after calling, and now I'm paying about $635. So I need who you're talking to, because
or you need her to negotiate for you.
I mean, she may be a better negotiator than me. All I'm asking for is we have virtually assigned contracts with MTG. And I think the council needs to adhere that so we don't fall into a lawsuit and cost our taxpayers more money.
Thank you. I am going to make our first attempt to jump in online. Can we get Mr. Schulman up? Right, Ms. Gleason walks to the podium. Hang on a second there, Mr. Schulman. First, make an assumption. It says Jonathan.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We have you.
Hey, Jonathan Schulman, 20 James Court. Thank you, Town Council, for hearing everyone. So I don't really understand how we're even considering this after years of public input, going through the RFP process. And as the last person pointed out, this seems like a pretty clear breach of contract that then they've already invested $1.4 million. It's a $6 million deal plus legal fees that are all going to get then passed back onto the town. And it just seems like a lose-lose-lose to me. It's going to cost us all that money. Mega's going to lose this business, and really the town sets a dangerous precedent and will lose a lot of respect in terms of, future contracts and people's willingness to sign them and how binding they truly feel that they are. I was in Middletown for years before I moved to Portsmouth. And the town pickup was just a very pleasant situation. They were reliable, Republic. And when there was an issue, they answered to the town. I've heard a lot of people, at least a few people here that have Waste Management. That's who I have. And I've had a terrible experience with Waste Management. They come when they want to. They're very difficult to get support. It's like a lot of automated prompts that are impossible to actually get to a human, unless you know some sort of hack to get to a human and you're typically putting in options for other things. They just don't seem to care about me because I'm one person, but they certainly care about a $6 million contract. And I do have neighbors that have Mega, and they've been very happy. So, while I understand why people are not so thrilled about only having one option, it kind of just seems like we're beyond that point. And in Middletown, I never saw anyone have another service other than Republic. So sure, it seems like people are almost arguing for something that is really a non-issue. Because like I said, I never saw a single person that had any other service in Middletown other than the town provided service. Also, I've had these bins for someone mentioned that these bins could just blow around, and that they don't show up. Like, I've never seen that. These bins are pretty heavy, and obviously if there's strong winds, something could happen, but in almost 10 years, I've never seen that happen where they're just thrown all around town. And also, people had mentioned some green initiatives. Every week, I have to hear like 4 or 5 different services coming at separate times throughout the neighborhood. And it just seems like a lot more efficient and greener and just less noisy to have one. But ultimately, it just seems like I have trash pickup now, and no matter what, curbside pickup, and no matter what, I'm going to do that. I just don't really understand how the town is. I don't want to see the town get sued, and now suddenly I'm still paying more for trash and paying $7 million in fees. I just don't really see what we have to gain from this, and so I just really hope that you guys don't repeal it. That's really all.
Thank you, Mr. Schulman.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gleason.
Good evening. Karen Gleason, 63 Massasoit Avenue. So just a correction, I believe, hopefully I'm right, back in October 2022 or sometime in 2022. You hear me okay?
Yes.
There was an RFP, the previous RFP. And of course, RFPs lead to discussions back and forth. And one of the questions was, is the intent to close the transfer station? I know we're not talking about the transfer station. Just give me a little history. And the answer, the response was, yes, we will be closing the transfer station. And this was all in addition to talking about having curbside pickup. And I know that most of you know all this. I just want to remind those that don't, that my concern is one hauler curbside, have nothing against private people having their own curbside pickup. I do have some issues when things are on the ground and I tell my husband, please do not pick it up. I don't know what's in that trash.
You pick up anyways, don't you?
Give me a second. So my concern is that having the one hauler, a mandate, it would eventually lead to closing the transfer station in the future. This is just my own opinion. I'm very concerned about it. This is the current council now. We don't know what the next council will be like. this is really, for me, all about choice. I like the fact that you can negotiate. You've done that. You've done a great job. Congratulations, you're paying 400 something. And 3 years from now, you could be paying 720. You will not have an opportunity to call up and negotiate. There'll be 4,000 people, maybe there's only gonna be 2,500 people from town. I don't know what they're gonna do. Imagine all those phone calls at the town hall. One coordinator who's making $100,000. We've seen this before when we grow departments. We only need one. And then you know what? Too many phone calls, I can't handle it. Mr. Rayner, I need help. Just give me a part-time person. It's not enough. Give me a second one. Now we're up to 290,000. That was your prediction, 190. Then add another person, part-time, 2 part-timers, 209. Now we're up to $300,000. I've seen it before. It's happening now. Please do not be threatened by an intent to sue. There's a lot of work that goes into an intent and a lot of work that goes into what you folks would have to deal with if that were to proceed forward. Please don't be threatened by a possible $6 million payment. Vote from your heart. Me, again, it's all about choice. We need freedom. We live in America. Don't give it up. Thank you.
Grebe. Try that again. Mr. Grebe. Mr. Grebe, there we go.
There you go. Having a hard night with the mic, I can tell. Tom Grebe, 110 Thayer Drive. I don't think the mandate is the only way to get what you want. I have to assume that hauling companies have a similar cost structure. Buy their trucks in the same places, the wages are similar, they've got to drive, the tipping fees are similar. I can't believe that one hauling company can possibly have a tremendous advantage over another from a cost standpoint. Mega gave us a winning bid. It must be around the lowest price that a hauler could use for the 4,000 people or so on. If another company offered a better price for fewer people, they would lose money. And they'd have to do that for 5 years to steal the business. That's a huge cost for an uncertain payout. I think that if you have a good price, you're going to get at least enough people to make a business for Mega. So I think the right thing to do is do away with the ordinance, but keep Mega as your hauler. I don't see why that can't be done. Now, I got a few other things that I want to talk about. To the man that just said he's never seen bins in the street, I will tell you that on Tuesday, and we've had really high winds. On Tuesday, I had the pleasure of driving around Mr. Rayner's 2 bins on King Charles Avenue. I don't have a problem with that. It happens. That, you know, the fact that he says he's never seen it is just crazy. The last thing I want to say is the concept of putting this in the tax base really concerns me, because that's when nobody's going to know what they're paying. The negotiations will go on. The contract will be for $1.2 million that we're talking about, nobody's gonna know what that comes down to for them. If it goes up to 1.5, nobody is gonna know what they're paying. And it's just a complete license for the companies to bring it up. And if we don't have really expert negotiators in the town, it's hidden in the taxes. Nobody knows. It's just taxes going on. So I don't think an objective should be to put this in tax base. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Road, Morningside Lane. Council given
Excuse me,
any,
sir. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Huh?
I missed your name and address.
Kevin Rowe, Morningside Lane.
Thank you.
Has the council given any thought of possible lawsuits from the other trash companies for the loss of business that they've already got?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's no problem?
No.
I don't know how you. I guess that's all I got to say. I'll be going to the compactor. See you later.
Anybody else?
Wait until the end. So,
Just get right into the microphone so everybody can hear you.
yeah, my name is Mark Friel. I'm a lawyer representing MTG Convenience Disposal. I'm the guy who wrote the letter that you've all seen. And I just wanted to clarify a few things. I mean, first of all, I want to make it clear that what MTG or MEGA wants out of this is not a legal battle. They don't want a lawsuit. What they want out of this is the benefit of a 5-year contractual commitment that they are willing to make and to serve this town for the 5 years and perhaps longer of that contract. That's what they really want. Comment was made earlier in the night that this was resulted from a lame duck vote of a council. But the reality is as one gentleman went through the chronology in Mr. Rayner's memo, this has been going on for a while. And the town issued an RFP, and the RFP said that when it awarded a contract to the winning bidder in that RFP, that formed a contract. So that is the foundation of our belief that a contract already exists. But even beyond that, when there was a form contract that was with the RFP, and then MTG commented on certain exceptions to some of that language in those terms, and signed off on it, and that finalized the contract, in the words of your DPW director. So we believe there is in fact a contract. One of the speakers earlier asked that question and expressed some skepticism about that, but we believe there is an enforceable contract. By the way, that bidding process that led to the award of the contract involved other potential haulers, one of which was Waste Management. The economy of this bid was superior to those other bids, which is why the town chose to award the contract to MEGA or MTG. The cost on a per month basis or an annual basis, however you want to look at it, for over the 5 years is going to be better than anybody who's paying a private hauler now. We know what we charge. We already service private on a private hauling basis in the town, and we know what we're charging, and the price that people will pay under this 5-year long-term contract is only a little more than half of what people are currently paying. And so we think we're pretty confident. We know, and other people have tonight quoted some numbers that they're paying other servicers like Waste Management, and the same would be true in their case. So we think there is a contract. We think there's cost savings. We think there's efficiency. Somebody earlier questioned how it can be any better than current services. Well, it's economies of scale. When you know you're servicing a certain number of people in a single location and can do it in an orderly fashion, it helps you do it at a cheaper price than when you're doing one-offs all scattered around a community. My understanding is you folks would know better, but that there are currently in excess of 4,000 people or households or locations in the town that are currently paying some private hauler. And assuming that for all those people, it makes sense to continue to have that same convenience, only at a far reduced price, it would seem to me that it's safe to assume that a good amount of those people are gonna sign up, if not even more. This contract adds curbside yard waste and leaf removal, and yard, scraps and clippings and so forth, which is not currently part of the service that you're getting here. So I wanted to correct a couple other things too. There are 10 towns in Rhode Island right now that MEGA, my client, services a similar curbside service. The only difference between those 10 towns and your town would be the fact that in those other 10 towns, it's folded into the tax base. But otherwise, the service is the same. I can personally say, MEGA picks up my trash in my house once a week.
The specific complaint is that, and I'll take East Providence, as I know MEGA services East Providence. East Providence doesn't have a specific ordinance that says only.
Correct.
MEGA. So if somebody wanted to contract with Waste Management, it would probably be exorbitant because they're not gonna go for one resident in the town, but.
And you'd still be paying it
And you'd
in
still be
taxes
paying
anyway.
taxes, yeah.
Correct.
Not in the taxes, that's the issue.
Also, there will be separate trucks, one that will pick up the trash, one that will pick up the recycling. So there isn't any risk of the mixing and being contaminated. The town administrator's memo to this council that was part of tonight's agenda was a good summary of both the history and the current realities of this. We think we've acted in good faith. We responded to the RFP. We've talked to people in the town. We've worked with the Public Works Director and other officials in the town. We were awarded the contract in May, so it's been 8 months actually to the day. May 13th, we were awarded the contract. We've acted in good faith since then. We've ordered new vehicles. We've begun to make plans. We postponed ordering the carts. But we can't postpone that indefinitely and still perform on July 1st. We need to order them pretty soon. We've acted in good faith and are looking forward to the opportunity to serve the town over the length of the contract. And we believe we can do so well and effectively because of the economies of scale, just like we are in 10 other communities around the state. And we hope the town will not repeal the ordinance and will honor the contractual commitment to MTG so we can move forward and work with you. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, either I can try to answer them or I can ask my client to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Oh, sure. Wait, come on back.
Gonna give me a second play?
Yeah.
right,
Mr. Boyd, I'll give you a second play, but I'll ask him.
Okay, Scott Boyd again, 12 Kensington. So you're operating in 10 other communities and you don't have the exclusivity. So just operate in Portsmouth without the exclusivity and we're great. Everybody's happy. And then, people are saying, how did we get here when all of these events happened? And it was known that this was gonna happen. Okay, I think most of us were asleep at the switch. And it wasn't until the train went rumbling through the attempt to pass the ordinance, which happened at the end of that last administration. That's when a bunch of us woke up. We hadn't seen we're not all reading the RFPs and digging into the details. Nobody was publicly stating that we were gonna do this exclusive thing. It was stating that we were gonna have a contract for private pickup. Great, just like they're doing in the other 10 towns. It's this thing about that exclusivity that I think woke a lot of people up. Thank you.
Chris Carseller, 63 Leaves Road. I just have a comment and a question. We just heard from MTG's lawyer that stated they believe they have a contract. It's either we have a contract or we don't have a contract. I don't think I know where we're at. And the other thing is, so if we don't have a contract, for the RFP, in the RFP, does it state that it will be exclusive, period? Or does it say it will be exclusive with an ordinance? Do we know that answer?
I have to go back and look at the wording specifically.
I'll jump in here, Keith.
Mr. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, the very first sentence of the RFP is that the town of Portsmouth is seeking proposals to enter into an exclusive contract for curbside collection of residential waste, recycling, yard waste, and bulky waste for all households not using the town transfer station. In addendum 3 to the contract, I'm sorry, to the RFP, it stated that there would be an exclusive ordinance, and that's what was voted on by the council. In the demand letter that was sent to us from the attorney representing MTG, they do refer to it, and it's quite rightly so. It's written in there that MTG successfully responded explicitly. The RFP that they responded to explicitly stated that the proposers' signed proposal and town of Portsmouth's written acceptances shall constitute a binding contract. The town council voted to accept the RFP, which was also a contract, and awarded it to MTG. So this is the situation that we're in.
Okay, and if the town council decided to rescind the ordinance only and to go into a contract with MTG with the same pricing and the same amount of people would sign up, the exclusivity would only be a few people. Obviously, I mean, I have a great deal with Waste Management. I'd love to stay with them, but, and I think I'm one of very few people. So I really feel like we should have just done a contract without the mandate. And it would have worked itself out. If the price is so much better for so many people, majority of people would have signed up anyway. So that's it.
And that's correct.
Yeah.
However, it's almost the identical situation that we ran into when we first discussed this 8 years ago with the transfer station, and we were looking for a new operator for the transfer station. And subscription service was brought into Portsmouth. Those subscribers look to see exactly what the transfer station sticker cross is going to be for the transfer station. We usually advertise that in December. Very shortly after those prices, that cost is announced, there's predatory pricing that goes into effect where they lure people away. So that very first year, we lost almost 1,000 people from the transfer station, and they're not coming back. We have already been contacted by competitors to MTG who have told us that without an ordinance, they are going to offer introductory rates. For instance, Waste Management right now offers $52 a month on their website. They've told us that they're going to offer $30 a month. That's $360 a year. Great deal.
We want.
That would be perfect. But then what happens is the following year, that price will go up because they're going to know that because we're operating this as an enterprise fund, the enterprise fund has to fund itself. So any deficit in that first year has to be rolled into the price for the following year. That following year's price will have to cover that deficit and the decreased number of people signing into the program. So the price for the program will rise, and then they will rise, the introductory rates will disappear, and they'll offer new rates. But those rates will be just below what we will be charging for our residents, which is why without the ordinance, I don't think that this is a program that would be financially viable for the town.
Sorry, Karen Gleason, again, 63 Masters Way. So respectfully, Liga attorney, says use the word believe. Okay. I've been working with the lawyers for a very long time. It's not quite the word I would want to hear at the council level. And I've been on the council before. Signed contracts as generally signed by the president town administrator after everyone on the council has voted. It sounds like he wants to protect his reputation, and I don't blame him. Sounds like he wants to mitigate. However, there's too many convoluted situations going on here, and I think that you guys are all hearing that. Again, it's not just one letter of intent. You could get several others from your own residents. So again, I encourage you to vote what you believe is right for the people. And I'm still going to encourage you, it's about choice. Thank you.
We have one person online. If you could please bring Sherry up. I'm sorry, Sherry, you don't have a last name, so we'll just say with Sherry. Sherry, if you can unmute yourself. Okay, we'll come back to Sherry. Mr. DiPio, real quick, and then Mr. Friel, I'm gonna ask you to come back up again. A couple councils have questions for you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Last time, I read some articles and people, town hall, Mr. Rayner, and a few other select people, there was an issue, a legal matter, and violations were issued, and a lawsuit came filed. And somebody wrote that they had the rights, Portsmouth had the rights. How'd that lawsuit turn out?
Know who I am, right?
Yes, we're all quite aware of who you are, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Mr.
Excuse me. This is like, you had a couple questions?
Sorry.
If you can use the microphone, please. Thank you.
Hi. Question for you that I've heard, I just want to let everyone know, I've read every single email. Genuinely want to hear from our committee, our community. Sorry. One of the questions that I had heard that I just wanted some clarification on, how would you help with large items? I recognize the trash, the recycling, and then yard waste is clarified, just looking for clarification on that.
My client may add to this or help me with this, but my understanding is that what's called bulk waste, like a chair or a table, furniture, that kind of stuff, that residents would have to make contact with MEGA, and there would be a separate price paid for a bulk item like that to be picked up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Depends on the size of the item.
Correct.
Okay, so, and am I correct, just, I'm not in the trash bin. It doesn't fit in a bag, it counts as bulk? Is that a reasonable bin? Thank you.
There's a whole list that they gave us.
They worked by the district manager for MEGA, so bulk, yes.
If you can just slide it a little closer. So
If you can get it fit in the can, we'll put it in the truck.
Okay.
If we're talking mattress or something, just reach out to my team and we'll set up a day. Every week we'll have a bulk truck running so we can come get your item, and then the president's correct. It'll just be based on size and weight.
Okay, thank you. And then it was mentioned, would it be possible to get text and emails of delays, or, I know when there's snow or something, is that something you would consider?
Well, I'm gonna let them answer if I
Okay,
did.
I'm back.
But before he answers, let me just say, I live in a community where MEGA is the current servicer. So, for instance, on the town website, at least where I live, and I don't know, maybe here, it'll tell you like when your trash pickup day is a holiday, how it affects what your other pickup day is gonna be. It'll tell you other advice. So some information, I assume, would come to residents through the town website, through announcements. But Dave may want to add to that.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the first half of that question, but I think I can guess at it. How are we going to communicate with you, delays, issues, et cetera?
Just looking to see if we can get text and emails to, I assume it's not every single person on every day, of like, if there's certain delays, and to make sure that residents are properly informed.
Yeah, if there is, call it weather, right? We have the ability to text and phone call every one of our customers And if you don't want a text or a phone call, the first time you get one of those, you have the ability to say, hey, stop texting me. If it is, hey, this truck broke down at the end of the day and these 5 blocks we're not going to get to, we'll reach out to our contact at the city and let them know, hey, this is what happened. We're coming first thing in the morning. And we can also still initiate that text chain, that email chain, so that everyone's in the know.
Okay, perfect. So it would be specific to those people not getting that service, not a massive,
Correct.
mass text. to
The
everyone.
nice thing about the way that Portsmouth is doing this is it will have individual accounts for each resident. And so we're able to send that notification, whereas with many communities, when it's the whole town that's signed up, I don't have a cell phone number for every single resident, but with this route, we'll be able to let every resident know individually.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anything else?
It sounds like he's my guy.
He is your guy. As long as I'm up here, I just want to take an opportunity to respond to a couple of comments that were made about my use of the word believe. I don't have any doubt that there's a contract here, okay? And in fact, the language of the RFP and the language of our communications with the town since the RFP make that clear. It's in the letter I sent to the town. It was in Mr. Rayner's memo to the council. So I was expressing our view, but the mere fact that I use the word believe doesn't mean that I have any doubt about it. I don't. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Gentlemen, move on.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all. Michelle McGough, 58 Camara Drive. I have curbside myself and like some of the people there, I've been able to negotiate pretty well. So I don't really feel like I have a stake in the game. Happy to have curbside pickup. But my question, I guess, is to the council. We've heard a lot from members of the audience. We've heard from legal counsel for MTG. And I'm just wondering what information this council has received from our town solicitor as to whether or not revoking this ordinance would be a violation of the contract. So I don't know if you're willing to, if you can share what information you've received from the council.
We have had discussions with the solicitor. It's about as far as I'll go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Smart?
I just like to piggyback off what Mrs. We do not have a viable contract. Contract becomes a contract when all parties involved have signed. We are in the negotiation phases. And part of MEGA's stipulation to have a contract with the town of Portsmouth, they included certain exceptions that they become the exclusive hauler. MEGA added that to the RFP process. Again, part of the negotiation process. We do not have, and I was actually kind of surprised when I asked the question if the contract was signed, because there's a lot of misleading information out there. And a lot of residents think that the contract had already been signed and they're afraid by council rescinds the ordinance, if there's going to be lawsuits from MEGA. I would be more concerned with the lawsuits from the residents when you're taking away their choice and the haulers that can no longer come into Portsmouth and do business. Those are the lawsuits that I would honestly be concerned with, not one for MEGA, because there is no contract with MEGA as it stands now.
My name is Peter Alex, 61 Point Road. And one of the complaints was I heard there'd be too many trucks on the road. Well, now they had recycling, garbage, other units don't fit in the cans, trucks going down side roads. How many other trucks are there that we're not hearing about now? So I don't understand.
So in the case of my neighborhood, tomorrow is waste management. Wednesday is Harvey Waste Innovations, whatever that conglomerate is. Thursday is MEGA. So there's 3 trucks going in my neighborhood in one day. For the interest of my neighborhood, and I'm just using mine because I live there. If this contract was to go through and there was curbside pickup, you would have 1 recycling truck and 1 trash truck per week. You would potentially have a bulk pickup truck, but that wouldn't go down every single road. It would just go to where the pickups are.
I'm just saying, I don't know how many trucks are not hearing about. The other thing is you're worried about lawsuits. How many people are gonna try suing the town? They're not giving them the choice. There's another lawsuit there.
It's America. Anybody can sue for just about anything.
Already addressed. 11th Court, Circuit Court of Appeals.
Come on back.
Beth Jordan again on 47 Garden Street. I don't know if I missed what he was saying, but I did pick up with the attorney from Mega, that each truck, they're gonna send 2 trucks. So we're looking at the fact that we're talking about less, but actually they're more. If they have to send 2 trucks, right now, Waste Management brings 1 truck and they bring it for trash and recyclables in the same truck, but they're gonna send 2 trucks. So we're talking about reducing, but they're bringing more. So I get where you're saying with, you know, that you have Waste Management and all them, but they're actually bringing more. So how much reduction do we really have with them bringing more?
Jerry didn't come back? No. Okay. Any other comments or questions? That's time, otherwise I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Public discussion, council discussion afterwards. One more?
One more.
Kim Don Gall, 121 Islington Ave, Portsmouth, Hunts Point. Can you give me more specific about the cost to the resident per year?
400, right now it's about $458. There's a couple of fluctuations in there, so it might be 459.
I think a lot of people are really concerned about the exclusivity and the mandate portion of the approach. I'm not really comfortable with that, but you know, I'm just one person. Thank you.
The 458 does not have pay as you throw bags tied into it, so.
Interesting.
There's been a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I will open it up for council comments. All right, Dave, ladies first. Come down.
Thank you.
You can go, sir.
Make a motion.
I take my role as an elected official very seriously. When decisions such as these come before me, I do try to do my homework. This is a very complex issue. While I agree we have been talking trash for years, we have not apparently been serious or have not been in agreement as to what we should do. And I'm just going to reiterate what another speaker has said about key council actions that Mr. Rayner sent out to us. October 2022, we sent out an RFP, hybrid waste management program, curbside collection, continuing transfer station, nothing happened to that. May 2023, the council voted 4-2-1 to pursue an exclusive single hauler approach. And if you know that 4-3 isn't an overwhelming support of this, but it happened. So then we have May 2024, the council awarded or had an agreement with MTG Disposal following the RFP evaluations. From May 2024 till November 2024, when the previous council did the ordinance, there was 6 months that passed. And I bring this to your attention, those dates, when the RFP was decided in November 12, 2024. 6 months passed between council agreement on who to award the RFP to and the request to pass an ordinance. We had the figures as to what the cost would be in May, but at no time did we roll out a marketing blitz to convince our taxpayers that this is the way to go. And this is the way to go. There are citizens paying from $400 to $800 for private haulers. We would have convinced them between that time that this is the way to go in the long run with a good marketing campaign, which we did not do. Shame on us. We don't need an ordinance. We need a council and a town government who believes in their product and sells it. I am not against curbside pickup, and I've said this over and over again. But I am against an ordinance to force people to buy into it. I will do all in my power going forward to sell this curbside program. I ask all of you to help me convince our town citizens to sign up today. Don't be tempted to jump ship for a year just because your present hollow will lowball our price. It's a ploy that does not work in the long run. Please believe that this will work for the town and our citizens. I will do everything I can to ensure that. And I also believe, and this is not just me, in my preparation for this, I have checked with attorneys regarding everything trash. And passing this ordinance does not in any way say we will not be free and clear of litigation. Citizens may secure the help of ACLU because their rights have been taken away from them, and haulers may pursue their right regarding restraint of trade and antitrust regulations. At this point, we may be boxed into a corner if we pass the ordinance anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Mr. President,
Okay, well, okay, two comments first.
I'm a little perturbed. And it kind of astonished me a little that some of my members of the council start going into schematics of whether or not things pass 437061. The council made an action. It doesn't minimize what the action happened. To the fact of anyone who's actually purchased a house here, when you purchase a house and you do an acceptance offer, you are binded to that acceptance offer. You put a down payment down on the house. You walk away from that that offer. The owner of the home has the ability to sue you for the down payment.
Because it's a contract.
Excuse me? Oh. We're kind of in the same situation now. And to say that our hands are tied because we're not putting this in the tax space, the town itself set a precedent by setting the transfer station into an enterprise fund. So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot on that argument. And lastly, has anyone here had health insurance through their employer? Been 65 years old and got Medicare? Congratulations, you're in an exclusive contract for a service. You cannot get out of it. If you have an employer that offers health insurance, good luck trying to get something in the marketplace. You cannot. Your insurance will then have to report saying that you are offered health insurance at your employer, you no longer qualify for the marketplace insurance. Sorry, I'm making that analysis. My day job is in healthcare policy. The fact that we are in this situation right now, the ordinance makes the contract effective. The RFP was agreed upon, meaning that we have a contract-like agreement on the table that has been agreed upon by both parties. If we go back, we are going to be liable for possibly liable for the entire amount of the contract. And just to put that into reference, that's about 8% of our town budget. The interlocal trust is not going to cover us for this one because it's an action of the council that we went back on ourselves. Not something that an outside agency, I know that school committee deals with some stuff of that nature, that is suing the town and that we're responsible for. No, we're the ones causing this. And to put it into further perspective, $6 million is about the budget, the salary budget for Portsmouth Middle School. Who's gonna hand out the pink slips when we have to add this into the budget? Or add it to a bond, so not only do we have to pay back the lawsuit when we do get sued, because those things almost guaranteed become lawsuits. They're just telling you how they're going to do it. They're going to guarantee that they're going to do it. 8% of the budget, we have to assume. It's gonna get bonded out, congratulations. your $6 million just got interest added to it because it's gonna get covered over the next 30 years. So I'm gonna have another argument where we have to put out a bond, and I'm gonna say that's too much. Yeah, it's too much because we did something. I agree with President Hamilton. It should be in the rules. I would love to see it one day. But the same way I said when I passed this ordinance, and I will say I was not part of the negotiations of the school committee. The only vote I took was the ordinance vote. I said the same thing that that President Hamilton said. We should put this on the rolls, but how do we get there? Let's do this. Let's make this possible. Let's figure out what it actually costs so that over the years, we can actually add this to it, because we're actually capped at a 4% cap every year, and good luck getting the General Assembly to approve us going over it. So I say let's pass this over.
Just for the record on that, we can't do a cap, not for this specific purpose. Not for this specific purpose.
Then I stand corrected, and I thank you for that. So that way it even puts us in a more precarious situation. Let's have the information, let's try to do this over the next couple of years so we know what it is and what it costs the town. And then from there, hopefully one day we can get it in the rolls and this becomes something, an argument that we can look in the rearview mirror and say, hey, we went through this, but we know what it costs the town. Thank you.
Any other comments from councilors? Ms. White?
The reason I ran for this position was to listen to the people of Portsmouth. I have read every email. I have reached out when I see people's bins and I have talked to them, people who might not know this is happening, to make sure I'm getting as much input as I can from the people of Portsmouth. As today, I wasn't on the council when the ordinance was passed. I was in the room. I recognize and hear the dislike for the ordinance and some of the verbiage that is in it. We are here now, though, and with this council, with this question posed. So it has passed. We are here looking if we are going to rescind it. That is the question stated today. This is a 5-year contract. Let's have them prove themselves to us and hold Mega accountable as they've stated. My job is to be fiscally responsible for all of us. And I take that to heart. One suggestion I had heard and that I would like to put forward is a frequently asked questions information for clarification on this topic on our website. Though it feels like everyone is involved and aware, I want to ensure that this is all written down, clearly stated and put on our website for people who might not have heard or are now first hearing about this. The people of Portsmouth can collectively work together, hold them accountable, and see if we want them to have this contract in 5 years. There's pressure on them and there's collaboration that we can do. And just final thought, in my opinion, Chris, you should have the job. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gleason? That's all that looks.
Thank you. Oh, no, I'm not worried about it. So we haven't met since listening to him. December 9th. We took a little break. But I can tell you, I've been thinking about this subject since the last meeting in November. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back and forth on whether this is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Okay. But we got here for actions beyond 5 people's control. And things that happened while I was on this council happened not because of me, but somebody behind the curtain. Somebody, there's a Wizard of Oz here, town of Portsmouth. So I like to say that I'd like to outline some of the problems that occurred over the last term that are unacceptable to me going forward, including transparency or the lack of it. The bid proposals and the bid proposal of the past have had questions from potential bidders answered by an employee of Portsmouth or their consultant, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure who answers these questions. We found out the hard way, and I'll give credit to Len Katzman, that essentially people had said, we're gonna close the transfer station down, because that's how we're gonna get 6,500 people. And we're gonna make a program for curbside, and it's gonna be cheap for everybody. But for people using the transfer station, sorry about that. Well, he made the motion that we have two separate enterprise funds, and that's where we are right now. Perhaps there's been specific involvement by individual counselors. I have been asked, and I've been left in the dark in a lot of these situations. The council as a whole has never always been provided answers to questions by potential bidders. They're answered by somebody. I don't know who's doing this, whether it's our consultant, it's DPW, Mr. Rayner, whatever it may be. But this is unacceptable going forward. And as a minimum, we need to change this. We need more involvement from 7 people that are sitting in front of you here today. Some of the other examples, the results of these questions, and finding out that someone has told bidders that the town is going to close the transfer station, which means all users in town are going to use the one curbside hauler. That was by 2022. In the most recent RFP, bidders were told that the town would enact an ordinance to get the minimum of 4,000 users. This was in the question period to the bidders in February. We as a council were not informed of that. Okay. Somebody knew, I didn't know. It's shameful. In the most RFP, excuse me, this was not a decision made by a 7-member elected board. I would suspect that at least one, if not more councils were informed, but again, the decision was made during the bid solicitation period, and the council informed months later. By informed, I mean only if they read the bid proposals. If you read between the lines, you saw it. We still were not told this is a situation. If you read the questions asked by the bidders, you saw responses from someone. This is not the fault of any of people that want this job here, but it puts us in a precarious position. I don't like the decision I have to make tonight, okay? I don't want to be in this situation within the next 2 years. We need to know what's going on, and I hope that changes. One other issue, the last one I'll bring up is, we were told at the May 13th, 24th Town Council meeting that the proposed ordinance would be brought back to the council for approval in 1 or 2 months. It happened in November, 6 months later, at the end of the term. That's wrong. We can't go forward like that, okay? I might not give you the right answer tonight, but at least I'm gonna step forward and say we need to make some changes, all right? Tonight, I'm gonna try and be fiscally responsible. It's not gonna please everybody, but we need to make changes here. It starts with us, it starts with Mr. Rayner, our solicitor, and in general, something needs to change. So thank you very much.
Keith, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I just want to add, I personally use the transfer station. I love it. I think they do a phenomenal job. But I am glad this was brought back to the council. I appreciate, Gleason, that you brought this back to us, to genuinely have people feel heard. I had not made a decision on this topic before walking in this room. I've read every email and I've heard every single person. So I just want it to be known, hearing out everybody, hearing this out. I'm not walking in the door already knowing what this was going to be. And I appreciate everyone taking the time and coming out tonight.
Mr. Rayner, can you clarify on what date? I'm trying to find the motion that was made to do an RFP with an exclusive contract.
There was just a moment. 22nd?
May 22nd, no.
That's the day they voted on it.
On October 11th, 2022, the town council voted 6-0 to direct staff to work with our consultant to develop a hybrid option. That was to, that set us down the road for curbside collection and to use the transfer station for bulky waste and diversion. So that was the council decision. And then on March 13th, 2023, a white paper was presented to the council. And then it was discussed throughout that white paper, having a single hauler in town for a curbside collection is preferred option. There were a number of discussion points there. And then on May 22nd, 2023, the council voted for a single hauler to serve Portsmouth.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to rescind the ordinance.
For a second,
Second.
any further discussion? I will put my 2 cents in. I would like to, as I've stated before, roll this into the taxes so everybody is paying in their taxes. What we are now setting up is essentially a 2-tiered tax system. You can either be in the enterprise fund and do curbside pickup, or you can be in the enterprise fund and bring it to the transfer station. Rough costs for either one. Transfer station, if we were to go without page and throw bags, which I know are a hassle for most people, is $376 roughly. For 96-gallon totes, if we stay with the program and the ordinance, you're looking at about $458 for your curbside pickup. Again, no page to throw bags, and according to MEGA, if you shove it in that barrel, they're gonna take it. So I would be against rescinding the ordinance, mostly because I do believe we have a contract, and yes, I did use the word believe. We have a contract. Just by the execution of the RFP. So, any other comments from the council? Mr. Gleason?
I hate to say it too, but I think we do have a contract, and the risk of the financial loss is gonna be what drives my vote tonight, fortunately.
Any other comments?
I did,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wish that I felt the same way. I've dealt with RFPs and contracts in another world, and an RFP I've never believed to be a contract. Again, in seeking guidance from attorneys regarding this issue, of the 3 attorneys I approached, not one talked about an RFP being a contract. And unfortunately, this contract or whatever was not signed by the town. My concept of contracts is a binding thing which is signed by both parties. It was not. We have a town administrator who did not sign this. So this whole thing, if Dave talked about being, since the last vote, this has been on my mind constantly. It's not easy, but looking at advice, those 2 words to me and legal opinion, an RFP is not a contract. That's what I have found. And I have to say this because we're at this point. Representative McGaugh asked if we received an opinion, a written legal opinion from our solicitor, and we haven't. And I think that's a shame. We're going into this unbelievable thing, and we don't have a written legal opinion. I'm saddened by that because I'm new and I'm struggling myself with this whole thing. And we were remiss in not providing the council that legal opinion. So I think I have to disagree with, and I don't want to, because there are judiciary responsibilities that we have, but there's also moral responsibilities that we have, and we've missed the boat along the line, I think.
Mr. President, if I may, and this town has experienced things where an agreement at a much lower threshold has been violated. And I want to remind people of the 800K that we had to deal with back in 2010 with Heidi Drive. A much lower bar, and I probably made some of you scream, a much lower bar was established to the terms of what an agreement was, and the town was on the hook for 800K. Do we want to be back there again? We've established an RFP that is an agreement. It has been agreed upon by both parties, and to then go back on it based on feelings, and no insult to anyone that has expressed those tonight. The courts do not care for that. And the likelihood of there being a lawsuit by an individual, given to what Mr. President Hamilton has said, anyone could sue for anything, and that's within your right. But once a town or municipality institutes an ordinance that kind of goes against the current contract in which you have, in most state laws, including this one, you are not held responsible for the authority in which you no longer control. It happens in rental agreements, it happens in a bunch of different things. You no longer have control of that contract because a law supersedes your contract. I'm not saying that it's gonna, I feel for a bunch of people that say that they want the choice, but there are things that we need to look at, and whether or not this town is going to be held responsible for it is highly likely. And we have the experience here in this town where we know what it feels like to be held responsible for an agreement that this council has agreed to. So I just want to put that into perspective as we take this vote.
Any other comments from the council? Okay, the motion on the table is to repeal the ordinance. Section 7. I got it right that time, right? All those in favor?
To repeal.
To repeal, yes. All those against? Nay.
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 Motion passes, motion fails 4-3. Ms. Patton, Mr. Reese, and Ms. McDowell in the affirmative, Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Gleason, Ms. Mayor, Mr. Blank in the negative. Now with the ordinance not repealed, we will go forward with figuring out the cost for curbside and the transfer station. Originally, there was a spreadsheet put out with the different costs, a discussion with Mr. Gleason and Mr. Rayner about the split of the cost of the recycling coordinator, which is what I'm gonna call him, in between the two enterprise funds, where the person who would be coming on to do this job would be doing a lot more heavy lifting than I believe your thought process was in the curbside side. So some of that money has been shifted. So the numbers that are on in the memo might be a little bit different. And Mr. Woodhead, you can walk us through those, please.
Council President, members of the council, I'm going to walk you through the numbers that are presented on the funds as backup, and I think the town administrator will give you the updated pricing for that. So, Council President, sure everyone hear me all right?
No, I don't think.
Come on out. All right. Council President, members of the council, I want to walk you through the cost structure of the transfer station and curbside stickers. We'll begin with the transfer station costs. First, we have to start with the revenue and expenses, which helps us project sticker costs for the upcoming year. So, want to put it on the screen. Okay. Revenue and expenses.
Yeah.
So we'll go through the revenue and expenses. We have household stickers sold, 2,114 stickers were sold in November, through November 30th, plus 103 stickers for the Prudence Island. So the sticker sale revenue came up with $872,333.50. Our general revenue projection is $37,563.82. And our bag revenue of $349,704. So we have a total revenue of $1,259,601.32. So then we move over to the expenses. So operation transportation costs of $883,757.17. We have tipping fees of $125,766, and then we have the other expenses of $185,922. Then we have our bag expenses of $50,543 for a total expense of $1,245,998.17. So by subtracting the total expense by the total revenue, we are projected to have a surplus of $13,613.15.
Okay, and that is for this year. Going forward, this is for this year going forward, starting July 1st,
Correct, starting July 1st.
with pay-as-you-throw bags.
With pay-as-you-throw.
But,
No, this is just.
that's what we project the surplus to be for this year, and that program does have pay-as-you-throw. The decision that the council needs to make next, as Mr. Woodhead briefs these two prices, you had decided, I think this was back, I've forgotten the months now, it's in a memo, but it was many months ago. You had decided that we would present to you two scenarios, a transfer station with pay-as-you-throw and a transfer station without pay-as-you-throw. So that's what he's going to do now.
So, with that surplus for the end of the year, we're gonna roll it back in to.
The transfer station.
Correct.
Correct.
We don't have a, for lack of a better term, rainy day fund at the transfer station, correct? So that if one of the Rams goes down, which one is nearing the end of its life,
That will be a deficit in next year's budget.
we would have to pay for that in deficit, okay? Thank you.
All right, so we'll go over the projected cost of the transfer station for the 12 months. This is with the pay-as-you-throw bags. So we'll start with the revenue part of it. So the general revenue of $30,409.32. The pay-as-you-throw bags of $233,136 for a total revenue of $263,545.32. Then we move over to the expenses. Operation and transportation costs. This is $653,573.18. I just want to note that the contract service has increased by 10% over last year's cost. This is due to the new contract that will start in July with Waste Connection Transfer Station. The tipping fees, $95,869. While the tipping fees for the solid waste for tipping at Rhode Island Resource Recovery is going to stay the same, we did have to put the yard waste tipping fees increased to 33% split for the transfer station and 67% split to the curbside collection. So the other expenses, bottom line was $120,345.84. And the change to that was removal of the debt services, but we also had increased waste diversion manager salary and benefits for the employee. And also we increased employee gate attendant wage. It went from $16.22 to $17.34 per hour. I know that was one of the recommendations. And that's Mr. Rayner will go over the split between the waste diversion manager after we come up with the final price. So we have pay-as-you-throw bag expenses of $51,000, so a total expense of $920,788.02. So when we subtract the revenue and the total expenses, we get a projected deficit of $657,242.70. Then you take into account the projected surplus of the 13,613.15. So we come up with a revenue needed of 643,629.55. So the cost breakdown, we take the 643,629.55 divided by the number of households, 3,200. We come up with a sticker revenue per household of $393 annually.
With page throwbacks.
That's with the page of throwback. And if you want to do a little cost comparison, last year's sticker for the 18 months, we came out with $21.39 per month. And this for the 12-month sticker for next year, starting in July, will be $24.42 per month. So like the town administrator said, we were asked to do the same thing, but without page of throwbacks. We come up with everything's gonna be the same except for the pay line, the page of throwback line. So we're removing the total revenue without page and throw, the 233,136, and the purchasing of the pay bags of 51,000. We're left with a projected deficit of 839,378.70. Then you take the total revenue of the 839,379.70 and add in the surplus of the $13,613.50. We have a revenue of $825,765.55. If we divide that by the total number of households of 2,200, we have a required revenue sticker price of $376 annually. $376 annually. And compared over last year, the $21.39 per month, this would increase to $31.33 per month. That's without the use of the.
But you wouldn't have to buy the bags.
You would not have to purchase the bags.
So younger families with babies at home would save a lot of money.
Yes.
Older guys like myself
Will not.
might, maybe not. Mr. Rayner, can you please review the new split numbers, just to confirm that we're at 376 and 293, and also we can, the goal of the page throwbacks was to get people conditioned to take their cans and put them in the recycling bin rather than in the bags. Hopefully everybody's conditioned now, we don't need them anymore. Try it for a year and see what happens. That would be my thought process. And meaning go away from page throwbacks. Also, since we're being environmentally conscious, that's one less bag that's thrown away.
Okay, so as Mr. Woodhead just briefed, if we maintain pay-as-you-throw program, 293, without the pay-as-you-throw program, 376 annually. We were asked to take a look at the waste manager and the ratio of the salary split between the curbside program and the transfer station program. And a good argument was made that the curbside program will demand a lot more of that person's attention as that program is new and the transfer station is quite mature. So we changed that ratio, 1/3, 2/3, and we just made it 80-20. So by doing it 80-20, it affects the price by $4. So with pay-as-you-throw, the recommended sticker price would be $289 for an annual sticker. And without pay-as-you-throw, it would go down $4 to $372. So that would be just subtract $4 from each price, and that's what you would get as the recommended sticker price for the transfer station.
What is the council's pleasure for the transfer station? Mr. Gleason.
First off, because of what I said before, I think we should do this as a 7-member council, and I don't feel it's right that I asked Mr. Rayner to make those changes, to look at the changes without input from the rest of you. So I think that we need another bite of the apple as far as the transfer station costs go. If anybody else has any other ideas, I did mention to Mr. Rayner that I think it's a shame that there's 30 trips to the metal hauler per year, and we make $22,000 in metal, but we spend $7,500 sending it down the road. Doesn't make sense to me.
Right, and that was another good point, Mr. Gleason, that we did look into. Unfortunately, that's still under negotiation, so I couldn't give you an answer for tonight. But it's built into the contract for the current operator at the transfer station to handle that material. So while it would make sense to have somebody like Mid-City to put a container at the site and let them do everything, the reality is that the operator of the transfer station would still have to remove the freon from refrigerators, move the metal, compress the metal into bins. So there would still be a handling cost there, and we're trying to get a clear price as to what that would be compared to what we're paying now. So it's not just removing that price out of the transfer station sticker and just letting Mid-City take care of it all. There's still some handling that we would be charged for by the current operator.
Okay. I guess the gist of my whole comment is if other people have any other ideas, and sadly, we maybe have two people on our recycling committee, and I don't know if they've been asked, whether there's ways to save money. But we need a number tonight that people can look at and compare the transfer station price versus the curbside pickup number. So what I would suggest to the council is that we assign a number that says we know it's not going to exceed $290, for talking purposes, and we try and get the number lower. But, we don't need the number as badly as we need the curbside number. In other words, we don't roll out the transfer station till July. Everybody has their stickers already. I take the comments.
Yeah, well, no, I think we need both numbers tonight so that people have a cost certain and they can start making, because what we really need is people to start signing up for either program. If they can make payments early, that's great. But at least sign up and say, okay, we cost person certain, we know we're gonna have 2,195 people at the transfer station, and we're gonna have 3,998 in the curbside. I think we need to start that now, especially when we're looking at, we have to get, Miga has to order the barrels and things. I personally am not I don't have a problem with you making a suggestion that saves money in the transfer station. If you would like to make that a motion to make that 80-20 split and make it more official, be my guess. That way, any councilors could chime in on it.
Let me just look at the numbers on paper here. It ended up being $289 using pay-as-you-throw bags. And I would make a motion that the fee be set at $290 for the transfer station with pay-as-you-throw bags, and a similar number, $370 for.
We gotta choose.
Yep.
It can't be half pregnant. We either have to choose that we're gonna allow the transfer station to go without pay-as-you-throw, or the transfer station to be pay-as-you-throw.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Mr. President, if you don't mind? I'm sorry, Mr. Gleason. And this comes from not using the transfer station. There's an $83, I believe, an $83 difference between the two. Does the average consumer spend more than $83 a year in purchasing bags? And
That's specifically off of the historical average of the bag revenue we brought in.
Okay, I'm
So,
asking because
I will tell you, me as a smaller household, it's gone up since my son has moved back in from college. But
children are always inexpensive.
yeah, but I go through an orange bag every 2 to 3 weeks. So
You're one of the rare.
I am significantly different than that.
yeah, understood. I mean,
I'm only asking because I'm just a little afraid that I just want to see if it's cost prohibitive in order to eliminate the pay as you go. If the cost is $83, because I'm just really mindful of those that are on fixed incomes and just making that jump. But if the cost of the bags is offset, or not having to purchase the bag is offsets the increase, then.
So I'll use my mother as an example.
Perfect example.
Yeah, she is home by herself, so other than Christmas time or Thanksgiving, she probably uses a bag every few weeks as well. But she uses a smaller bag. I use the big 33-gallon bag and so 4 or 5, 6, depending on how much I want to stuff it and the condition of the orange bags that week.
So if she uses the page, if we keep the institute of the page and throw bag, she would pay less per year than somebody who uses more than the page.
Yeah, so the scale.
They're 11.25 for the big, 11.25 for all of them.
There's 3 different sizes.
It's 3 different sizes. You get more with the
Two small ones.
small ones. Yeah, all kitchen bags and a big 33-gallon bag.
If I might just add, it goes back to the recycling committee, and it was a question of fairness. You know, it was based on family size, you know, if you have more trash and recycling, then you're gonna pay for more bags, you know, and you're using more of the space in the landfill, so to speak. So, my motion again would be $290 to stay with a pay-as-you-throw bag system for the transfer station.
There a second?
No, I'll second that.
I'll
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? So the transfer station fee would be $290 and we would continue with pay-as-you-throw bags. Sure,
Any public involvement in this?
if you'd like, Mr. Boyd.
So I think the train just went by me again. Are we making a decision about pay as you throw at the transfer station right now?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
It currently exists at the transfer station.
No, I understand we do pay as you throw now.
Yeah.
But you are about to make a decision to continue with pay as you throw or try not pay as you throw, right? That's the decision that's before you right now?
Yes.
No, the decision before us right now
The price.
is pay-as-you-throw.
Yeah, we're saying we're gonna do that.
Right.
Right. And if that passes,
We're pay-as-you-throw.
right, that fails,
Somebody could make a secondary motion to go, yes,
maybe go for the non-patient.
correct.
Okay. How many of you think the town knows you're making that decision?
It's been on the agenda and talked about, we talked about it at the last meeting and tabled it to this meeting.
All right, I don't want, most of us are disconnected from our town government. It's just the way of life, right? I don't like social media. But all things Portsmouth seems like it gets the information out. And I don't think this has hit all things Portsmouth. It will hit it tomorrow. And you may have a whole deluge of people that said, why did you do what you just did? Similar to the ordinance that we were just discussing earlier. So I don't know. I wasn't aware that this was coming. I don't read the agendas. And as I read the agenda, I see a discussion of the potential costs here. I didn't see we're gonna make decisions when I looked at the agenda. That's just me being misinformed, you know.
Request approval of the FY 2026 curbside and transfer station sticker fees.
Right, but that's a nice summation of what's happening here. But the details are lost on most of us unless we actually read all the backup materials. And even after reading all the backup materials, I didn't think you were gonna actually make a choice. I get it, that it says it right in the title. And I am getting old. So the mind might not work like it used to, but I don't think the town's got a clue that those are the decisions you're making tonight. And I imagine once we clear the transfer station, we're gonna decide whether we have 65-gallon totes or 95-gallon totes.
Right.
Right, tonight. And I don't think the town knows that either.
Yes, well, I'll just speak for what I've posted on All Things Portsmouth.
Great, okay, maybe they do know that one, okay?
The greater request was to go for the bigger barrels.
Sure.
So that's why back in,
And I mean,
whatever it was.
I think you won't get reelected if you go for the 65-gallon totes for a difference cost of $4. Just saying. It seems like a no-brainer to get the big bin for $4 more. But
Especially since Dave said we can jam whatever we want in that barrel.
yeah, and you could get a body in the 65, but
You might have to cut it up though. Yeah.
you want the bigger one. We're all getting a little.
Send up to the deck.
So anyways, I think this train went by the station already. But I'd postpone making the decision on these things and try and get the public involved. So you'll make the choices that the majority of the people would like. And it's kind of the same situation we ran into just now with this ordinance.
I certainly appreciate your comments. We should have gotten the public involved the last go round.
Yeah.
But they found out in November what we did, you know, if they took a break from Christmas and New Year's.
I get it.
You know, you're probably one of the rare ones that reads the agenda. You just didn't read it closely.
I printed out all the backup
I know.
material, went through that as well. So
I just want to say my rationale for staying with the pay to throw bags is the equity. And
Yeah.
the closer we get to the 376, the more people are gonna say, I'm leaving the transfer station. And they're gonna,
Sure.
you know, that is ultimately the goal of this town. It's not my goal,
Right.
but I'm gonna say it. That's what we want to see happen.
I am a huge
Okay?
proponent of the transfer station.
And there are
And I-
2,200 and that's it.
Right, but I stopped using it when we implemented pay as you throw.
So did 1,000 other people.
That was the last straw.
And I want to say for the record that it was said tonight that all trash goes to Ryrick. It doesn't.
Right.
Trash that we know that goes to Ryrick is from our transfer station and that they compose the recycling numbers for the town of Portsmouth.
Right.
Waste management may be going to Ryrick or Newport.
Right.
But I don't believe Miga's taking it there. I mean,
I think
they all
I've
have their own,
I think I've heard trash goes out on rail out of Quonset as well.
a lot of us going to Massachusetts or keeping
So,
Ryrick open.
you know, my personal opinion would be, let's give it a shot without pay it and see what happens. 1 year, let's give that a try. And just, then you'll have some comparative numbers. If you see a drop in transfer station users and you think you can attribute that to the pay it bags, then you can just implement those again in the following year. And all those people should flock back. That's truly what's happened. Right? I'm just saying, I think.
Once they leave, like the pays and throwbacks are not coming back, in my opinion.
What's that?
Once they leave, they
Like
don't
you
come back.
left because of the pays or throwbacks. If they leave for that reason, they're not gonna come back.
I'm coming back if you get rid of the page throwbacks. That's what I'm telling you right now. I'm coming back if you get rid of it. I would love to come back, but I'm just, the convenience factor of dealing with them stupid bags, sorry, I'm not doing it, right? I'm gonna pay $700 a year, let Waste Management do it, because it makes my life simple.
Can't do that anymore.
Well, I'll pay $700 to make.
458.
No,
Ish.
not if they only get
460.
2,500 subscribers.
460.
If they only get 2,500 subscribers, because a whole bunch of people decide to go to the transfer station.
We're gonna have a line all the way up Headley Street every
I
time.
know, I know. And to your point, Dave, and I've been saying this for a number of years, we should be paying by the pound at the transfer station. It's the best way to do it. The little old lady will pay like $20 a year, that she's only gonna bring 20 pounds, right? And then the heavy users are gonna pay. We don't need bags. Pay by the pound. We need scales in, out, get an operator to do it that way. And I don't know what state law says, I'd open that thing up to the entire world, because take the construction debris from all the contractors, doesn't matter, it would pay for itself. And I know what you're saying about capacity, do more compaction chutes, there's enough land there in my mind. Take $2 or $3 million investment, but I can draw you a diagram to make that place run. One last thing, I don't understand why the town needs a pickup truck for curbside pickup. No answer for that?
What town is that?
I don't know what we mean, pickup.
You've got a pickup truck in your upcoming discussion of curbside
It's a,
to go down the small roads.
it's not a pickup truck, it's a smaller vehicle.
Okay,
It's a
but
compacted vehicle, but it's a smaller vehicle.
what does the town need that for when we're contracting with them to do curbside?
That's part of their price to.
No, they've already put their price in the proposal. Why are we putting a line item in our budget for a small vehicle? Just food for thought.
What is that?
So that vehicle is part of their proposal to help out doing the private roads and our smaller town roads and town of Portsmouth, because some of those larger vehicles cannot go down our smaller roads that don't have turnarounds and so on and so forth.
That's their problem. They contract to pick up the trash.
That's our.
Town shouldn't be paying for that truck.
Is that ours?
All right, so we're gonna go back to, the motion on the floor is to set the transfer station fee at $290 with pay-as-you-throw bags. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes 5-2.
I'm abstaining.
Okay,
Yeah, I feel like we should have heard,
4, 2, and 1.
yeah, we should have heard from the public and the transfer, the mega overwhelmed the situation.
Okay, we'll go through the
95 gallon.
the curbside for the 95 gallon and 65 gallon plants. So these are our projected costs for revenue. We're projecting that around, hopefully that we beat the 35% recycling rate of 7,000. You get a tipping rebate of $7,760. If we go down for the expenses, contract operation expenses, $1,295,999.99. Tipping fees, $264,440. Other expenses, $261,030.38. And then total expenses comes out to $1,821,470.37. So the net expense after you take off the tipping fees, the 7,760 comes out to $1,813,710.37. Then we divide that by the 4,000 projected household, that goes in a annual sticker quote for $454 per year. And if we move up to the collection of the 95 gallon carts, the expense for the 95 gallon carts, revenue stays the same as above. Contract operation expenses of $1,295,999.99. The tipping fees of the $264,440, and then the other expenses, the price change because of the cart size of $261,3038 to $277,897.75. So then when we take that price, subtract the tipping cost, we get $1,830,577.74. Divided by 4,000 households, we come up with a $458 per year cost for 95 gallon carts.
And then that number is gonna change by
$2. So, for the 65 gallon carts, it would go from 454 to 456. And for the 95 gallon carts, it would go from 458 to 460.
What's the council's pleasure?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 95 gallon carts
At $460.
at $460.
And it's second by Ms. Patton. Any discussion, questions, Mr. Gleason?
The only thing I'll say, because I was on the recycling committee, is the reason for the 65 is to encourage people to put more in the recycling bin and less trash. And there may be a problem with the tipping fees, it's optimistic that we get, 35%. I think the transfer station gets that, and we're doing it with bags, so I don't know what the reality is.
It's a new.
I can't argue if there's only $5, but that's the reason. So when you got a big bin, still try and do your best, because the town is ultimately gonna pay for this.
Mr. President, I may. Mr. Gleason, I get your point in trying to change behavior, but I think that in the first and initial phases of this program, I think that having the 95 or 96 gallon totes allows for a more seamless transition from other people moving from company to company. And I think that the normal commercial tote that we do receive now is roughly 95 gallons. So I think it just helps out with smoothing the transition over at a couple dollars difference.
I'm gonna support it, but I'm just throwing out the reasons for concern.
I just wanted to put out the equal other side.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Cap?
Yeah, I just have the same concerns as Mr. Gleason in terms of recycling. I am going to support it, but I think that maybe the town has to monitor this and really sell this idea of recycling on curbside, because it's not only, it's the right thing to do, recycling. And so I think we should monitor it as we go along and maybe do some sort of advertising to support a greater involvement with recycling for the 95-gallon bins.
Brian, can you scoot aside for a quick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris?
Chris Carcella, 63 Leeds Road. I've had curbside forever and everybody up and down my street has it. We fill our recycle bins to the limit. They're big, it's easy to throw stuff in there, so since it's mixed, don't worry about that. Everybody recycles with we want to make sure we fill those up.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of a $460 curbside pickup fee for 96-gallon tubs?
95.
95? 94, 95, 96.
95, 96.
Chris gets 102. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That will put the rest trash talk for at least a month. Next up on the agenda, we have there we go. A approval for a proposed request for quotations for municipal legal services. This is a request to put out an RFQ for legal services. Mr. Gleason, you asked for this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So I wanted to use this as an opportunity to explore potential solicitors in the future. This contract bid RFP, I should say, last saw the streets in 2017. So I do have a couple comments on it, and I'd like to see if any other councilors have any suggested changes as well. One of the things, if you're on page, the application requirements 8, section 8B, we understand and accept the following terms: that the town has determined that a blend of a fixed fee arrangement and hourly charges for the range of municipal legal services is in the town's interest. How do we tell a potential customer what that blend would be? That would be one question I have. On the second page, which would be scope of work. Under 8, it basically says we are asking a potential or a solicitor to attend all town council meetings and work sessions and meetings of town boards, commissions, and committees as necessary. This, or any council that I've ever been a part of, has never determined what's necessary. I know at this point, if I figured there's 4 hours per meeting, that would be anywhere from 16, figure a maximum of 20 hours. And under the current contract, we're probably paying a monthly stipend of 60 to 70 hours. I just think that that type of information would be beneficial for the next person to know what the typical duties are, the amount of time constraints that we're expecting from a solicitor. And that is just for the normal day-to-day business, because at the end of the day, the amount of hours that are expended by the solicitor is probably double that on a routine basis. So my intent was to get this out on the street, but as you can see, I do have some questions for clarification. I don't know if they make sense to other people or they have ideas as well. We could table this if necessary, work on it a little bit more, or maybe I'm out in left field somewhere.
I don't think you're left field, but if we want to make changes like that you're suggesting, then we should hear from every counselor if there are other changes that they would want to make or additions to it.
Absolutely.
Add those in, have it reworked, and then come back on the 27th and vote on it. So do you have other ones?
That's
Okay, Mr. Dow, I see some yellow highlights on yours.
Yep. I also had number 8 highlighted just to question that as necessary. I mean, my experience so far in Portsmouth is that every meeting we have a solicitor there, it seems to me. So what does as necessary mean, and do we need our solicitor at every meeting? Documentation. I had 14, but I think I see that in the warrants, and there is documentation there. And under application requirements. I'm assuming, I wasn't here the last time a solicitor was named, but I'm assuming that the solicitors came before us with their presentation, all of them, in the RFP. Is that how they do it here?
We had a scaled, or I forget how we did a spreadsheet of the different hourly rates and a review of 3 of the packages. So I believe the administration narrowed it down to 3. We didn't go through it. I don't anticipate us getting 40 or 50 of them.
Was it more and you brought it down to 3?
I think it was, what was it, 4 or 5?
It started out at 8.
It started at 8
Yep, and then
and then called it down to 4.
right, it started out at 8, then you called it down to 4, and then you went from there.
So the council called it down to 4. And then did the 4 come and give their presentation to us? Is that how it worked, or not? Oh, to you?
They did talk to them.
They were in
They
the
did talk to
audience.
the council.
Yes.
They were in the audience for asking questions, yes.
Yep. Okay. And
17. Before that.
I didn't need those. No.
so that was it.
No, in the past, before it was the RFP, if the Republicans won, it was Andre. If the Democrats won, it was Kevin. That's kind of the way it went. Before that, it was, who else was solicitors before that? And multiple other ones, but it was just kind of a practice. Whoever had the council as a majority hired their own solicitor. I think this is a better option.
And I'll also say that the amount of attorneys that do practice municipal law nowadays has severely dwindled. We see it in school committees. There's about 4 firms in the entire state that do it. So my anticipation of getting 8, as in 2017, is probably would be very hopeful, but I would say that we're probably gonna even see half of that.
Yeah, I think we had a combination of firms and individuals, so. Why don't we all just, if you have, anybody else have questions or additions
No,
or?
I was just gonna say I'd like to table this one just because I had other.
Okay, so if you have additions or changes, forward them to the clerk. And if I would ask the clerk to put those changes in red. And then we'll come back on the 27th and we'll do an up and down vote and make changes. Does that work for everybody? Yeah, so do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have our correspondence, which is our RIRAC report for November and December. And also a thank you from Prudence Island for the fine work that DPW and I believe East Coast Construction did on the wall on the east side of Prudence Island to help with erosion.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. The next town council meeting is in limbo, but most likely it will be here. It will be a combination meeting and it will start at 6 p.m., not 7 as it's stated on the agenda. We will have our annual meeting with our state legislators to review our priorities and goals. We will then have a discussion, preliminary discussion for both the school department and the town administrator on the beginning of the budget cycle. And we'll discuss the solicitor's contract and anything else that may come up the next 2 weeks. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 7-0. Thank you all very much for coming out and ignoring Zoom. Hopefully there's nobody else. Oops, apologies. Don't kill the Zoom yet.
Don't kill
Don't kill the Zoom.
I guess he's answering.
Like having you on the team. I like having you on the team.
Yeah, they did.
I like the team, but.
My apologies.
No,
I don't need this.
Anybody else?
I can't type.
Thank you.
Dave, I really
Uh,
appreciate that. More than anybody. I like working with you guys. I think it was the right thing to do, bring it forward.
It's too big of a risk.
Yeah. No, I think it's hard, but you're doing the right thing. Weird.
I am sorry. but-
Around tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll be there. Got nowhere else.
There's nothing on here, right?
Yeah.
No. Whole thing about